I have good news for you. We have a donor who has put up a $15,000 match, which means if you contribute $30 today, it becomes $60 to Free Speech TV. If you contribute $100, $120 today, it becomes $240. If you contribute $360, it becomes $720. Whatever you contribute today, your donation will be matched by this donor up to $15,000, and we have not even hit $10,000 on any of these days so far. We had a $6,000 day yesterday, a $3,000 day the day before. So we have a long way to go to catch up to where we need to be, and let's try to make this a $15,000 day and put $30,000 into the pot for Free Speech TV, which will bring us for the week right up, pretty much right up to where we need to be. So please call now, 877-378-8669, and have your donation matched, have your donation essentially doubled for Free Speech TV. I mean, there was never a better time. Please call now, 877-378-8669. This is a today only offer, as it were, from this donor, and let's jump on it. We have a series of premiums with a $30 gift. You get the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's the Vote 11618 and Vote Free Speech TV. And, in a very real way, your contribution to Free Speech TV is a vote for this show. And this show and the entire network is, in a very real way, a vote for democracy in America, for freedom of the press and freedom of speech, for the First Amendment. So, anyhow, thus the vote theme, and of course there's an election coming. With a $72 gift, you get a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is an illustrated book, and it is a great read. If you don't have a copy, I strongly encourage you to check this out. $72, We the People. With a $120 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. That's the dark gray T-shirt made in the USA, the 2¼ inch diameter aluminum button, and the Vote 11618 bumper sticker. With and the $120 a gift can be $10 a month for a year. With a $240 gift, you get the hoodie kit, and that's, as it implies, as the name implies, a hoodie. Gray, made in the USA, zip-up hooded sweatshirt, the Vote Free Speech TV button, and the Vote this November sticker. With a $360 gift, you get the Vote for Our Future pack, and that's the T-shirt, the hoodie sweatshirt, and the button and the sticker. And with a $480 gift, you get all of the above package, which is the sticker, the button, the T-shirt, the hoodie, and my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. That's with $480 or $40 a month for a year. And of course, with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland, Oregon. It's been a while, right? Eventually I'll catch up. Come to Portland, and I'll take you to lunch. I'm doing that. We have a group of people coming in this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great afternoon. And in fact, Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech, is going to be here too to join us. So it's, you get to meet people, and our one of the directors of fundraising was with us for the last one. So that's with a $1,000 gift. Come to Portland, hang out in our humble studio, and I'm warning you, it is a humble studio. It's a converted office space, and very simple, very down, very down home, very just. We're a budget operation and proud of it. So, we do a lot with very little here on this program, and I know Free Speech TV does a whole lot. I mean, you've got, I think it's 17 employees on a $3 or $4 million a year budget. That's pretty mind-boggling. I mean, that's the size of the staff and budget of a single television program on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. So they're running an entire network on just an absolute shoestring because you call 877-378-8669 and say, yes, I want to contribute. I want to help. I want to be part of the solution. And here's your opportunity. With this matching gift, this $15,000 matching gift, odds are we might, odds are we probably won't even hit $15,000. We won't even use all of it up, which is unfortunate because it'll just go away. So if you can call today on this Friday afternoon, if you can call, or Friday morning if you're on the West Coast, call now 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV is just this absolutely extraordinary, valuable, and important component of our media landscape. We're here on Dish, we're on Direct, we're on Roku, we're on Sling, we're on Apple TV now. Carries Free Speech TV. We're getting out there all over the place, or Free Speech TV is anyway, and my show is a consequence of that. And we need to keep the momentum going. We need to keep this thing moving forward and keep this network on the air. It's not free sending electrons to you via satellite. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. Wow, Paul Manafort, Brett Kavanaugh, all kinds of weird stuff in the news. It is amazing. By the way, it's Anything Goes Friday. Whatever is on your mind, you want to talk about, UFOs or Paul Manafort or Brett Kavanaugh? Well, here's the news that is breaking right now. Paul Manafort has apparently flipped on Trump. Paul Manafort certainly knew where the dirt was. Paul Manafort was running the campaign at the time the Republican National Committee decided to change their platform on Russia. Paul Manafort used to work in the Ukraine. Paul Manafort, I think, is going to be very problematic for Trump. And, he was looking at the rest of his life in prison. He is surrendering $46 million in cash and goodies, which means that the Mueller investigation just paid for itself. Right? Our government has taken more from Paul Manafort than the Mueller investigation presumably has cost. We don't have the actual numbers, but it's probably well under this neighborhood. And he's giving up real estate in Brooklyn, real estate in New York City, real estate in Walter Mill, New York, bank accounts held by Federal Savings Bank, Capital One, another Federal Savings Bank, Northwest Mutual Life Insurance Policy, all funds held by Charles Schwab, a property in Arlington, Virginia. All of this stuff. And Mueller he's now got his cooperation. This wasn't, the big speculation up to this point was, will Manafort cop to a plea deal? Yes, I'll plead guilty to these things to save you the trouble of prosecution if you give me a lighter sentence. Well, that's not what he did. He said, I'll not only plead guilty to these things, but I'll spill the beans on Trump. And now you've got some state attorneys general who are looking at this going, because, if he's pleading guilty to federal tax fraud and he had residences in Virginia and New York, odds are one of those states was the domicile, his residence, his legal residence for tax purposes. And that state can then go after him for concealing his taxes. And that's something that the president cannot pardon. So anyhow, that's kind of at the top of the news. By the way, in the second hour of our program, Congresswoman Gwen Moore is going to be with us. She is a member of the Progressive Caucus, the Congressional Progressive Caucus. She's also a member of the LGBT Equality Caucus in the U.S. House of Representatives, 4th District of Wisconsin. But she is a 13-year veteran of the Financial Services Committee, and this week is the 10th anniversary of the Bush crash. And so we're going to talk with her about that in the second hour, of our program. And of course, anything goes Friday throughout the day. So number one, we've got Manafort. Number two, Brett Kavanaugh news. The letter that was delivered to Dianne Feinstein yesterday that made the news Turns out that it is an allegation by a young woman. This is when Brett Kavanaugh was going to Georgetown Prep School in Bethesda. And this woman attended a nearby high school. And reading from Ronan Farrow and Jane Mayer. Jane Mayer, who wrote the absolutely brilliant book, Dark Money. And Ronan Farrow, of course, who has busted open the entire Me Too thing. I mean, he just made all this happen. He's the guy who took down Harvey Weinstein. And over the objections, apparently, of NBC. And, now they're both at the New Yorker, newyorker.com. And so reading from this piece by Ronan Farrow and Jane Mayer, when Kavanaugh was a high school student at Georgetown Preparatory School in Maryland, the woman attended a nearby high school. In the letter, this is the letter that she gave to her member of Congress, Anna Eshoo, who then gave it to Dianne Feinstein, who then gave it to the FBI. In this letter, the woman alleged that during an encounter at a party, Brett Kavanaugh held her down and he attempted to force himself on her. She said that Kavanaugh was a classmate. She claimed in the letter that Kavanaugh and a classmate of his, both of whom had been drinking, turned up the music that was playing in the room to conceal the sound of her protests, and that Kavanaugh himself covered her mouth with his hand. She was finally able to free herself and got out without being raped, but has been shaken up ever since. And Kavanaugh issued a statement saying, "I categorically and unequivocally deny this allegation. I did not do this in high school or at any time." So we've got a Clarence Thomas situation here. And of course, we learned after the fact that Clarence Thomas, in fact, had been hitting on people who worked for him, on women who worked for him. And I think Anita Hill has been largely vindicated that Clarence Thomas was and probably still is some kind of a sexual predator. And now Brett Kavanaugh is on notice for this. By the way, did you notice that Brett Kavanaugh actually came right out and said that he would want to overturn Roe v. Wade? Most people completely missed this, and I think the media completely missed this. I haven't seen this on any television anywhere. Ian Millhiser writing about this over at thinkprogress.org. And just to give you a little background here. In 1997, there was a Supreme Court decision called Washington v. Glucksberg. And in this decision, the question was, if the federal government is going to grant rights to somebody or acknowledge rights to somebody, say the right to a gay marriage or the right to own a gun. The right to own a gun is a little vaguer because that arguably is found in the Second Amendment. But, the right to get married, it's not mentioned anywhere in the Constitution. So it's not an enumerated right? It's not one of that list of things in Article 1, Section 8. So it's called an unenumerated right. It's not a part of the numbers, the list, right? And so if you're going to decide what actually should be a right protected by the government, in this decision, Glucksberg, what the Supreme Court justices concluded was that an appropriate unenumerated right is one which is, quote, deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition. So if you can find that something has been a right for hundreds of years, for example, the right to get married, not necessarily gay married, but married, then you can say that's an unenumerated right? And we're not going to dispute that. Or the right to drive your car, or the right to walk on public streets, or, things that are not in the Constitution. So prior to 1973, we do not have a long tradition in this country of abortion being legal. In fact, we have a long tradition of abortion being illegal. So if you were going to apply the Glucksberg test to Roe v. Wade and say, is there a long tradition of a right to abortion in the United States? The answer would have to be no. And sure enough, that's what Kavanaugh said when he was being questioned by Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz said, let's talk about the foundations of the unenumerated rights doctrine. And Kavanaugh said, all roads lead to the Glucksberg test as the test that the Supreme Court has settled on as the proper test to determine whether or not a right is actually a right, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, if you go back to his 2017 speech to the American Enterprise Institute, Brett Kavanaugh said, and I quote, Even a first-year law student could tell you that the Glucksberg's approach to unenumerated rights was not consistent with the approach of the abortion cases, such as Roe v. Wade and Casey versus Planned Parenthood v. Casey. In other words, he came right out and said, we're going to apply this test of was this right, quote, traditionally given to us or recognized by our government. And if we can't find that it traditionally was, then it's not an appropriate right. He is aggressively going to shoot down the right to abortion in this country. By the way, Louise and I last night, we were going to watch Republic of Doyle. We turned on Netflix, and right up at the top, right at the, the very, was a documentary on abortion. And I was like, whoa, what's this? A Netflix original. So we watched it. It was an hour and a half long. And you could have picked my jaw up off the floor. It was one of the most brilliant pieces of documentary filmmaking I have ever seen. And I strongly recommend it. They have, the anti-abortion folks are well represented, and they make their points very clearly. And of course, the pro-abortion, the right of women to control their own bodies and choose what's going on, that was well represented as well. So just a heads up, check that thing out. It's really worth checking out. So anyhow, enough of my rants for the morning, or afternoon as it may be, wherever you may happen to be, or evening if you're listening in Europe. Enough of that. We're going to get to your phone calls here. It's Anything Goes Friday after all, and the phone lines are filling up. It's talk media for the rest of us, the Thom Hartmann Program, your media support group for we the people. Is Manafort, how bad do you think this is going to harm Trump? Or do you think it won't at all, what Manafort is doing?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I mean, we may be on the verge of finding out just how much of a crook or even a traitor the guy sitting in the White House is right now. It's been 3 hours since Trump has tweeted. I have a feeling he is, shall we say, a little worried. Scott in Mission, Kansas. Hey, Scott, thanks for listening to us on YouTube. What's up? Or watching us on YouTube. What's up?
I just wanted to talk about the blue wave and like the possibility of it coming. So I'm assuming you saw that stat that showed that more than half of millennials support Democrats, but then less than half of them actually plan to vote.
Yeah, and less than a quarter of them, or in the neighborhood of a quarter of them, voted last time around.
Yeah, and to me, I wouldn't necessarily say it's all on them, because in many ways, the Democrats have to get them to come out to vote by campaigning on issues that matter to them and appealing to them.
Yeah, this is, if I may, Scott, this is an issue that I want to bring up in the third hour. David Sirota just wrote a brilliant piece, and I was going to hold off for a couple hours on it, but he wrote this brilliant piece suggesting that, yeah, we're going to sweep the Republicans out of here, but it's also time to sweep the corporate Democrats out of here. And yeah. I really want to dig into that. I saw the Chris Hayes special with Michael Moore in Flint, Michigan 2 nights ago on Chris Hayes' show. And he had a bunch of people who didn't vote. 80,000 people in Michigan voted for everything all the way down to drain commissioner, but did not vote for president. And he had a bunch of them on the show, and they were like, yeah, I didn't vote because nobody inspired me. I didn't believe that anybody on that ballot really cared about my interests, and so why vote for them? And if the Democratic Party doesn't start putting up genuinely progressive candidates, they're going to keep losing elections. And if they do start putting up genuinely progressive candidates, they're going to start winning elections, in my humble opinion. Now, there are going to be people who are going to say, well, Cuomo, winning over Cynthia Nixon in New York, quack, quack, quack. I don't think that had to do with policy. I think that had to do with Cuomo being a two-term incumbent, really, really high name recognition. The potholes are getting fixed. The trains are running on time. And it doesn't seem to be a disaster in New York State. And people just don't pay attention.
And here in KSO3, Sharice Davids won over Brent Welder, who was the more progressive candidate. And so there's going to be a lot of people saying that they want these more moderate Democrats like Sharice. But in KSO4, James Thompson, the most progressive candidate in that race, won.
A KSO, I'm assuming you mean Kansas State Senate District?
Yeah.
Or something like
for,
that?
House of Representatives.
Oh, for the U.S. House of Representatives. So these are the
Yeah.
congressional districts in Kansas that you're talking about.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
So, you know, it works in one place, it doesn't work in another place. And I'm guessing that all things being equal, and that's the thing, all things are not equal. You know, Cuomo had this enormous name recognition and the entire state machine behind him and the New York Times endorsement, which is all huge. I mean, almost impossible to defeat. But if all things are equal, the progressive candidate, in my opinion, will not only always beat the corporate Democratic candidate, but will easily beat any Republican.
Yeah.
And that's
Therese Davids attended Johnson County Community College, which is where I currently attend college. So, and she won Johnson County, and Brent Welder was beating her in Wyandotte County, which was
yeah.
So
it's kind of inside Kansas baseball, but I get your point. Scott, thanks a lot for the call, and thanks for watching. Thanks for giving us a shout. It's Anything Goes Friday. Every Friday we take your calls on whatever topic you'd like to talk about. We can range from chemtrails and 9/11 to you know, what is the fate and future of the Democratic Party. Stick around. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, you know, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. It was Friday here on the Thom Hartmann Program. Paul in Woodinville, Washington. Hey, Paul, what's up?
Hi, Tom. Well, I would disagree with the characterization that, as you were talking about, or maybe it's Brett Kavanaugh's characterization, that under the Glucksberg decision, abortion was, for the longest time in this country, illegal. That's not true.
Okay. What is true?
Okay. Well, let me give you the facts. Harry Blackmun, who wrote the Roe decision, much of that decision was essentially a dissertation on the history of abortion. That's why it took him so long to write the decision. It took him 4 months to write the decision.
Wow.
And he did an extensive research on the history of abortion, and part of what he found was that abortion had been legal all over the world up until just after the Civil War here in this country. And one thing you have to understand is when you say legal in this country, it's always been legal in at least some states in this country. It's never been illegal in the United States.
So there's not been a federal law against abortion, just state laws.
In fact, the only federal law that we have now is the right to choose. There's never been a federal law. And the reason it was made illegal after the Civil War is because that was a time when they knew from the Civil War that, or they thought that this was before antiseptic and sterile techniques. And so many people died from invasive surgeries. They thought the same would happen, you know, with abortions. Now, one thing you have to point out is that before that, up in this country, is that people, they did have abortions. Now, what would happen is that it had to do with difficult childbirth. So, ironically, most abortions that took place were late-term abortions when women got into deep trouble with their pregnancies. Up until the turn of the 20th century, it was safer to have an abortion than it was to have a baby.
Right. And it still is in many countries.
So when sterile techniques and antiseptic and sterile techniques were discovered in the 1870s and 1880s, by the turn of the 20th century, pain-free surgeries were not uncommon at all. So abortion was not a problem.
Right.
And so that's when the majority of states legalized abortion. So to say that the abortion was illegal in this country was only some states after the Civil War is what happened. And in 1973 is when we finally had a federal decision about abortion. And and let's remember that it had nothing to do with the right to life or not. This had to do with the right to privacy.
Right. In the Roe decision, yeah.
Had been established in the right to privacy had been established in the Griswold decision in 1965.
Right.
So this is Brett Kavanaugh. I don't trust this guy. He's a slime. I'm sorry, but he can twist it that way if he wants, but that's not true. That's not the truth. Harry Blackman did extensive research, and abortion was legal all over the world and in this country too, up until just after the Civil War.
Well, here's his quote. This is what Brett Kavanaugh said. Even a first-year law student could tell you that the Glucksberg approach to unenumerated rights is not consistent with the approach of the abortion cases such as Roe v. Wade in '73 and the 1992 decision affirming Roe, known as Planned Parenthood versus Casey.
Right, that was 1992. Well, listen, Sandra Day O'Connor wrote in Webster in '89 and in Casey in 1992 that the right to choose has been an expectation of women for a generation. Now it's been 2 generations.
Yeah.
And besides that, it's convenient for him to use the Glucksberg decision in '97 to talk about previous decisions that he doesn't agree with.
Yeah, absolutely. You also wonder to what extent the criminalization of abortion after the Civil War might have had to do with race hysteria. There are. The Pat Buchanan argument against abortion is that the abortions are generally more easily accessible to women of higher economic station, which is typically white women. And therefore, it's reducing the white population over time. That was Pat Buchanan's argument.
Well, Tom, my mother is a professor of nursing, and she's been teaching public health for a long time. And she's been saying this, quoting this since the 1970s, ever since. The majority, over 50% of the women who have abortions are middle-class white women who are married and already have 2 or more children.
That's right. And 1 in 4 American women will have had an abortion in their lifetimes. This is not uncommon, et cetera. Paul, thank you. Thank you very much for the call. It's always good to hear from you. 27 minutes past the hour. It's the Thom Hartmann Program. Anything Goes Friday. What's on your mind today? We'll be right back. Stick around.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Speaking the truth, the fat cats and multinational corporations would really rather you didn't know all about it. Thom Hartmann here with you. Stick around. We'll be right back. Boy, do I have good news for you. We have a donor who has put up a $15,000 match, which means if you contribute $30 today, it becomes $60 to Free Speech TV. If you contribute $100, $120 today, it becomes $240. If you contribute $360, it becomes $720. Whatever you contribute today, your donation will be matched by this donor up to $15,000, and we have not even hit $10,000 on any of these days so far. We had a $6,000 day yesterday, a $3,000 day the day before. So we have a long way to go to catch up to where we need to be, and let's try to make this a $15,000 day and put $30,000 into the pot for Free Speech TV, which will bring us for the week pretty much right up to where we need to be. So please call now, 877-378-8669, and have your donation matched, have your donation essentially doubled for Free Speech TV. There was never a better time. Please call now, 877-378-8669. This is a today only offer, as it were, from this donor, and let's jump on it. We have a series of premiums with a $30 gift. You get the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's the Vote 11618 and Vote Free Speech TV. And, you know, in a very real way, your contribution to Free Speech TV is a vote for this show. And this show and the entire network is, you know, in a very real way, a vote for democracy in America, for freedom of the press and freedom of speech, the First Amendment. So, you know, anyhow, thus the vote theme. And of course, there's an election coming. With a $72 gift, you get a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is an illustrated book, and it is a great read. If you don't have a copy, I strongly encourage you to check this out. $72, We the People. With a $120 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. That's the dark gray T-shirt made in the USA, the 2 1/4 inch diameter aluminum button, and the Vote 11618 bumper sticker. With and the $120 a gift can be $10 a month for a year. With a $240 gift, you get the hoodie kit, and that's, as it implies, as the name implies, a hoodie. Gray, made in the USA, zip-up hooded sweatshirt, the Vote Free Speech TV button, and the Vote this November sticker. With a $360 gift, you get the Vote for Our Future pack, and that's the T-shirt, the hoodie sweatshirt, and the button and the sticker. And with a $480 gift, you get the all of the above package, which is the sticker, the button, the T-shirt, the hoodie, and my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. That's with $480 or $40 a month for a year. And of course, with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland, Oregon. It's been a while, right? Eventually I'll catch up. Come to Portland, and I'll take you to lunch. I'm doing that. We have a group of people coming in this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great afternoon. And in fact, Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech, is going to be here too to join us. So it's, you know, you get to meet people, and one of the directors of fundraising was with us for the last one. So that's with a $1,000 gift. Come to Portland, hang out in our humble studio, and I'm warning you, it is a humble studio. It's a converted office space, and very simple, very down, very down home, very just, we're a budget operation and proud of it. So, we do a lot with very little here on this program, and I know Free Speech TV does a whole lot. I mean, you've got, I think it's 17 employees on a $3 or $4 million a year budget. That's pretty mind-boggling. I mean, that's the size of the staff and budget of a single television program on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. So they're running an entire network on just an absolute shoestring because you call 877-378-8669 and say, yes, I want to contribute. I want to help. I want to be part of the solution. And here's your opportunity. With this matching gift, this $15,000 matching gift, odds are we might, odds are we probably won't even hit $15,000. We won't even use all of it up, which is unfortunate because it'll just go away. So if you can call today, on this Friday afternoon, if you can call, or Friday morning if you're on the West Coast, call now, 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV is just this absolutely extraordinary, valuable, and important component of our media landscape. We're here on Dish, we're on Direct, we're on Roku, we're on Sling, we're on Apple TV now, carries Free Speech TV. We're getting out there all over the place, or Free Speech TV is anyway, and my show is a consequence of that. And we need to keep the momentum going. We need to keep this thing moving forward and keep this network on the air. It's not free sending electrons to you via satellite. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today marks the 50th day since Trump and his administration, his brutal administration, were supposed to reunite all of these children who had been stolen from their parents. There are still over 400 of them not reunited, and there are apparently over 12,000 children being held in short or long term, we're not really sure, detention by the federal government right now. This is bizarre stuff. The documentary that's on Netflix, by the way, that I mentioned earlier, it's called Reversing Roe. Somebody tweeted to me saying, you know, I can't find it on Netflix. If you plug in, just type in Reversing Roe. It is absolutely astonishing. I can't speak highly enough about it. It's just incredible. Morris in Long Beach, California, listening on KPFK. Hey, Morris, what's up?
Hey, Professor, I know you're not a gambler, but the greatest upset in the history of all sports took place at the U.S. Open in the finals between Serena Williams and a young lady named Osaka. The odds at Vegas for Osaka was 1-50. That means if you put down $1, they would give you 50. Okay?
Right.
I saw this match. What happened was this. Serena ran into, now I'm quoting Chris Everett. She used to play tennis too. She was a champion. Serena ran into a younger version of herself. Now, Professor, I don't know if you play tennis, but this kid was serving religiously at 110 miles per hour.
Whoa.
And she beat it. Every ad point she came to, she won. Serena had never seen nothing like this in her life. Had she responded and not reacted to the chair umpire, that would be the narrative today. I watch a lot of sports. I watch a lot of stuff. No one is talking about that. I don't care if you're talking about boxing. You know, boxing used to be fixed, you know, that horse racing. There's never, ever been something like this that's come to pass. Yet it's just going without discussion. And, Professor, I want to ask you this now. If my father was born in Haiti and my mother was born in Japan, and I'm taking my mother's name, what would my ethnicity be? What would you call me? Like, let's say if I'm a black person in America, you would call me either a black American or African American. But what would you call a young lady like Miss Osaka?
I'm not in the business of parsing people's ethnicities, Morris. I mean, this is one of the, well, you know, on the one hand, when you start saying, well, we shouldn't have all these labels, then, you know, you get people going, particularly Native Americans, African Americans, going, wait a minute, you want to strip my ancestry from me? And on the other hand, when you start trying to parse, okay, who is what? How much blood do you have to be this or that? Then it starts getting really, really tricky. I don't want to wade into that minefield, frankly.
That's why they call you Professor Harden. My brother.
I'm not sure if that's smart or cowardly, Morris, but
no, that's smart. No. What that is intelligent.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I'll get with you later on.
Thanks a lot. Good talking with you. I appreciate it. Jeff in San Francisco. Hey, Jeff. Thanks for listening to 910 AM. What's on your mind?
I just want to talk about. I went to a public bank task force last night.
Oh, great.
Well, they're throwing out low numbers that they're going to start off with $500 million in this bank, and 3 to 5 years down the road it's going to happen. And so all us on the outside are really kind of very angry. This is ridiculous. And they're offering like a personal type of loans. One is a personal loan for 6 months, like for $5,000. You know what the interest rate they're offering?
No.
30%.
30%? No, I'm not believing that.
Yeah. So it's just a slap in the face to those who want to really go for a public bank. It wasn't a bank; it was like a money transfer sort of thing. Yeah,
this sounds like something completely different. The argument for public banking is really, really simple. The banks in New York, the big Wall Street banks, are more profitable than they have literally ever been in history. The last quarter, I believe, the total banking profits was around $16 or $17 billion. That's in profit. That's what they walked away with and split up among their stockholders and their directors. And that profit could just as easily be returned to the state. California has the 6th largest economy in the world. It's got an economy that's larger than most other states, I think than any other state in the United States, and most states in aggregate. And if California was simply to start doing their banking with themselves rather than with Chase or Wells or whoever they're using, they would save billions of dollars that's right now going to profit on Wall Street. And so, of course, you've got the bank lobbyists inside any conversation on public banking trying to screw it up, which may well be exactly what you're talking about here, Jeff.
They had the Chamber of Commerce right there, and he's putting a poo-hoo on everything that's progressive said about this. And, in fact, he got a little phone call, did a phone call in the middle of the meeting, talking to his bosses, probably how he's trying to shut it down. And so, you have people on this task force, I'm sure they're looking future in their careers as politics. And what do you need in politics? You're going to succeed. You need to have money. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, it's going to be another type of you're going to go out and like the congressman is going to go out on Wall Street and make money after he retires.
Right.
So
this is all kind of, Jeff, kind of falls into the category of the bad news. I would say, though, that the good news is that you're even having the meeting. Right. I mean, North Dakota adopted a public bank in, what was it, 1912, 1914, something like that. It was in the 1919. Okay, it was the 19-teens anyway. And the state has been profiting from that ever since. So it's not like there's not a model for us to look at and see that it actually does work.
They're just really bastardizing it to where it's not going to be. But I mean, this is proper.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm sorry your phone is breaking up, but keep us up to date and keep going to the meetings and keep raising hell and making noise and whatnot. John in Evanston, Illinois. Hey, John, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm great, but I'll get better. What's up, John?
I'm going back to my hometown, which is Detroit, Michigan. And with some friends, they said to me, John, you want to pop across, go under the river and go over to Windsor? I said, hell yes, let's do that. Mm-hmm. And so we went over there and we went to a beautiful new riverfront park. And we walked up and down and just talked to people really at random. And we asked them, what do you think about Canadian health care? Mm-hmm. Guess what they said?
Don't know.
Great. That's fantastic. Then I said, what do you think about American health care? And one woman said, well, I've worked for 38 years at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. My brother is a physician here in Windsor. I know all about it. American health care is bad.
Yeah.
Terrible. I could go on and on and on. Then one looked across the river and said, we don't have any buildings here. I said, what do you mean? Insurance buildings.
Right.
And right across the river, there's a big building.
Right.
Insurance, health insurance.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why is it that Americans just don't go for Medicare for all? And they said, we can't understand it. But, you did have one candidate who was talking about it. I said, who is that? Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
Listen, I think all the Democrats have to do is adopt Medicare for all and just go over and film some ordinary people. Talk to the people.
This is what Michael Moore did with his movie Where to Invade Next, which is absolutely brilliant, and not just on healthcare, but also on prisons and housing and job security and all kinds of things. But John, spot on. Thanks for sharing your story with us. That's a great story, and it's fascinating. Teresa in Philadelphia. Hey, Teresa, thanks for calling. What's up?
You're quite welcome. Well, I want to talk about immigration. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not a polished politician, but I don't understand. Our Statue of Liberty says, you're tired, you're hungry, anybody come on in.
Right.
So now, and you know what? If you ask the Native Indians, we're all illegal immigrants.
Yep.
Right? So, and they point out that beautiful girl was killed by a illegal immigrant, okay?
Yeah.
How many murders are committed on a daily basis and crimes, and they're not illegal immigrants?
Yeah.
So
virtually all of them.
Well, I just don't get it. I don't. You know what? I'm a veteran. I served in the Army. I was so proud of this country, but now I'm not. I'm embarrassed.
Well, Well,
I'm embarrassed how we look on the world stage.
Teresa, the fact that you're embarrassed means that you still hold those values that this country once, represented in many ways. Obviously, we have imperfectly acted out our values through the entire arc of our history. But the fact that so many of us actually are embarrassed by Donald Trump as our president, are embarrassed by the sellout Republicans as a political party, taking the position that their only job is to defend the interests of billionaires in the fossil fuel industry, and the chemical industry. I'm with you, and I see that actually as good news. The fact that we still do have a conscience. We do know what's important and what's not important, and so I'm not discouraged by it. I think that in some ways, we're recognizing what happened, and it's almost like Susan Sarandon's prophecy is coming true. I mean, I did not, I voted for Hillary Clinton, and I campaigned for Hillary Clinton once she won the primary. Of course, I'd been for Bernie before that, but
well, I blame the Democrats there because.
Yeah, Teresa, I'm sorry, we're hitting the break.
Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
We'll be right back. It's 45 minutes past the hour. We'll be talking about this in more detail in our third hour today, and on David Sirota's piece. And welcome back. Lee in San Bernardino, California. Hey, Lee, thanks for listening to KPFK. What's up?
What's up, Thom Hartmann, man? Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you, first of all.
Thank you. Back at you.
I've been waiting to get through to you. And my issue right here, man, is about a city that I live in, that they done took everything away, all the politicians' stuff in their pockets. Don't even got a rec center. And they wonder why these kids out here gangbanging. Because they've taken everything away, brother. They're giving us nothing to look forward to.
Yep.
When I was younger, we had Pop Warner football. You could go get a free lunch from the rec center. You could do anything. Now there's nothing.
Really?
So, yeah. This is in San Bernardino, California, the city I grew up in. It's terrible right now, Tom.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's this is neoliberal economics, Lee, and neoliberal politics. The idea that we've got to cut back, we've got to do more with less, or we've got to do less with less, actually, and it all comes out of this libertarian ideology that the job of government is not to provide an infrastructure for quality of life. It's only to provide infrastructure for basically threatening people, police and military, and
militarized.
Yeah, I mean, that's about it, and it is such a shame. Lee, thanks for pointing it out and bringing up the issue. This is something we all need to be working on. James in St. Petersburg, Florida. Hey, James, what's up? Thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV.
Hey, Tom, how you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind?
Good. I got a question. Would you agree that we're a country of laws?
Depends on the context.
Well,
where are you going with this?
We are a country of laws, and I believe that we can make certain assumptions. And one is that no one's above the law. Would you agree with that? I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. Could you say that again?
Yeah, I said if no one's above the law, then the assumption is that no one is above the law, including the president. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, that's the theory. That's not the argument that's being made by Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh is saying that the president is above the law as long as he's in office.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. I mean, if we have an assumption that we are a country of laws and no one is above the law, then it's an oxymoron that we're sitting here talking about the president being able to pardon himself.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that the Supreme Court would uphold the right of a president to pardon himself.
But it's an oxymoron. It's just...
No, I agree. And by the way, the easy way for congressional Democrats, if they take control of the House of Representatives, to prevent Trump from pardoning any of his cronies and certainly from pardoning himself, is to launch impeachment proceedings against him. They don't even have to be successful. The Constitution limits the pardon power And by saying that the exception to the president's ability to pardon people is during time of impeachment. And during time of impeachment, he may not use the pardon power. So, start impeaching him.
Well, that's really great to hear from you. But I have one other thing I want to say about civility.
You got 10 seconds, James.
Okay, civility requires empathy, and empathy is learned behavior. And this president never learned empathy.
I broadly agree. I think empathy is intrinsic to us. I think it's built into us, and I think it gets built out by really, really terrible parenting, as apparently is the case of Trump. Thanks. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Goes Friday. Thom Hartmann here with you, and Larry in Chicago. Hey, Larry, what's up?
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good.
We had a caller on just a few minutes ago talking about Medicare, and I think one of the things that could really explain to a lot of people, and I can't remember if it was you that said somebody's already done the numbers, done the metrics as far as how Medicare for all could work.
Yes.
But I think
actually the Trump administration did the numbers. No, I'm sorry. It was the Koch brothers did the numbers and found that with Medicare for all, we would be spending, as I recall, I may be off by a few $1 trillion here, but that we would be spending in the neighborhood of $30 trillion, and that's when they all start, over the next 10 years, and that's when everybody ran around with their hair on fire, until somebody pointed out that the Koch brothers' own numbers show that if we keep going the way we're going, we're going to spend $34 trillion, and maybe as much as over $40 trillion if medical inflation continues the way it is. It would be $34 trillion if suddenly we could stop all medical inflation, which, of course, is not going to happen. So that's where the numbers are coming from, Larry.
Okay, so one of the things that I always wonder about, and one of these days I'm actually just going to Google a bunch of things and try to do my own numbers, but they say that I work in that medical products industry, and one of the things that I hear commonly is that we spend 80% of our lifetime healthcare dollars in the last 20% of your life, in 20% of your life.
Yeah, I've heard that number. I can't corroborate it, but I've heard it.
So the question would be, how much more do we have to spend to cover everybody else, and what does that mean to my paycheck? I think that's what everybody's concerned about, and that number has never been thrown out.
It also raises the question of, are we doing, just crazy stuff at the end of life? We really need to have a conversation about this, about end-of-life care. And we're not having that conversation, because as soon as you start having that conversation, people start screaming death panels. But, how extreme do we want to get? I mean, Larry, thanks for the call. Louise and I have living wills that say, basically, if we're gone, let us check out. It's no heroic measures, thank you very much, and I don't want to, do chemotherapy and destroy the quality of the last year to get an extra 3 months, that kind of thing. But, different people have different opinions on this, and it's a good topic for conversation one of these days when the news cycle calms down a little bit. Dave in Woodstock, New York, listening on our Pacifica affiliate there, 104.1 FM. Hey, Dave, what's on your mind?
Hey, Tom. Yeah. I'm a little disturbed that you constantly harsh on Jill Stein.
Well, I don't constantly. It happens maybe once every 2 or 3 months. And only when somebody else brings it up. I don't look for opportunities to pick on Jill Stein. But I do think that she ruined the Green Party.
Well, I mean, most of her policies you would agree with.
Yes, that's absolutely right. But
but like, I don't know why you don't harsh on the electoral system that
I do.
Creates this whole lesser.
I do, and as I said in the third hour, we're going to have a little more in-depth conversation about, how does the Democratic Party deal with its corporate Democrat problem, and which is causing us to lose elections and has been for 15 or 20 years now, and that's a big deal. With regard to Jill Stein, my argument was that in the last couple of election cycles, I used to be not so much involved with the Green Party, but a big fan of the Green Party and et cetera. And have always said, the Green Party at the local level is a great force. But in my opinion, Jill has kind of turned it into a cult of personality. And, back when Ralph Nader was the candidate, the Green Party was doing a lot of great stuff at the local level all over the country. The Green Party during that time and prior to that time was responsible for over 300 different, what do you call them? Not cities or states, but electoral areas. In some cases even counties going to instant runoff voting. San Francisco is the largest one, but I think it really has been hurt in the last few years. In part, it's shrunk also, but it's just it's not been a good thing, and it's very unfortunate. I think that fusion voting, like New York has, where you can vote, basically for the same candidate on two different parties, would be a big help. And then there's ways to have multi-party voting, and we should be doing these things. We should have instant runoff voting, where we can't have proportional representation. And that would open a space for the Green Party. But right now, the reality is that a vote for the Green Party is a vote for a Republican. And that's why the Republican Party is funding several Green candidates in this election cycle right now. And I think that's a big deal. Michael in Maltby, Washington, listening on our Pacific affiliate there, KBCS. Hey, Michael, what's up?
Hello, Mike.
You're Michael. I'm Tom. What's up? We have a little less than a minute, Michael, before we hit the end of the hour.
North Carolina, they don't want to pay. They paid for a study about global warming, and then they said they can't use it. You were saying that homeowners should be upset because they'll have to buy these crappy homes. What about all the police stations and fire stations and chemical plants that are built and they can't tell if they're going to be flooded or not?
And nuclear power plants.
About.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane that the North Carolina legislature said, you may not use. They passed a law saying that towns and counties cannot use, this data on global warming to plan for the next 30 to 50 years.
Yeah,
it is nutso, and it's. Excellent point, Michael, and hopefully this will change now that we're seeing Hurricane Florence coming aground here. Although it seems to have dropped down to Category 1, and it's not quite as wild and crazy as everybody was anticipating. But hey, this is the beginning of the storm season. There are 5 hurricanes right now, or seeds for hurricanes, in the Atlantic. 5 of them. They're stacked up and they're heading this way. So get ready. Coming up next, Congresswoman Gwen Moore will be with us. Stick around.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads, they pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Boy, do I have good news for you. We have a donor who has put up a $15,000 match, which means if you contribute $30 today, it becomes $60 to Free Speech TV. If you contribute $100, $120 today, it becomes $240. If you contribute $360, it becomes $720. Whatever you contribute today, your donation will be matched by this donor up to $15,000, and we have not even hit $10,000 on any of these days so far. We had a $6,000 day yesterday, a $3,000 day the day before. So we have a long way to go to catch up to where we need to be, and let's try to make this a $15,000 day and put $30,000 into the pot for Free Speech TV, which will bring us for the week pretty much right up to where we need to be. So please call now, 877-378-8669, and have your donation matched, have your donation essentially doubled for Free Speech TV. There was never a better time. Please call now, 877-378-8669. This is a today only offer, as it were, from this donor, and let's jump on it. We have a series of premiums with a $30 gift. You get the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's the Vote 11618 and Vote Free Speech TV. And, in a very real way, your contribution to Free Speech TV is a vote for this show. And this show and the entire network is, in a very real way, a vote for democracy in America, for freedom of the press and freedom of speech, for the First Amendment. So, thus the vote theme, and of course there's an election coming. With a $72 gift, you get a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is an illustrated book, and it is a great read. If you don't have a copy, I strongly encourage you to check this out. $72, We the People. With a $120 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. That's the dark gray T-shirt made in the USA. The 2¼ diameter aluminum button, and the Vote 11618 bumper sticker. With and the $120 a gift can be $10 a month for a year. With a $240 gift, you get the hoodie kit, and that's, as it implies, as the name implies, a hoodie. Gray, made in the USA, zip-up hooded sweatshirt. The Vote Free Speech TV button, and the Vote this November sticker. With a $360 gift, you get the Vote for Our Future pack, and that's the T-shirt, the hoodie sweatshirt, and the button and the sticker. And with a $480 gift, you get the all of the above package, which is the sticker, the button, the T-shirt, the hoodie, and my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. That's with $480 or $40 a month for a year. And of course, with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland, Oregon. It's been a while, right? Eventually I'll catch up. Come to Portland, and I'll take you to lunch. I'm doing that. We have a group of people coming in this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great afternoon. And in fact, Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech, is going to be here too to join us. So it's, you get to meet people, and one of the directors of fundraising was with us for the last one. So That's with a $1,000 gift. Come to Portland, hang out in our humble studio, and I'm warning you, it is a humble studio. It's a converted office space, and very simple, very down, very down home, very just, we're a budget operation and proud of it. So, we do a lot with very little here on this program, and I know Free Speech TV does a whole lot. I mean, you've got, I think it's 17 employees on a $3 or $4 million a year budget. That's pretty mind-boggling. I mean, that's the size of the staff and budget of a single television program on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. So they're running an entire network on just an absolute shoestring because you call 877-378-8669 and say, yes, I want to contribute. I want to help. I want to be part of the solution. And here's your opportunity. With this matching gift, this $15,000 matching gift, odds are we might, odds are we probably won't even hit $15,000. We won't even use all of it up, which is unfortunate because it'll just go away. So if you can call today, on this Friday afternoon, if you can call, or Friday morning if you're on the West Coast, call now, 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV is just this absolutely extraordinary, valuable, and important component of our media landscape. We're here on Dish, we're on Direct, we're on Roku, we're on Sling, we're on Apple TV now, carries Free Speech TV. We're getting out there all over the place, or Free Speech TV is anyway, and my show is a consequence of that. And we need to keep the momentum going. We need to keep this thing moving forward and keep this network on the air. It's not free sending electrons to you via satellite. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back to the Thom Hartmann Program, broadcasting on commercial radio stations from coast to coast on Sirius XM all across the North American continent, on Pacifica stations across America, Europe, and Africa, on American Forces Radio, on every U.S. military base in the world, on your electronic device, via TuneIn, Progressive Voices, Thom Hartmann app, and simulcast as television via Free Speech TV network on Dish Network, DirecTV, and cable systems all over the country. Really pleased to have on the line with us Congresswoman Gwen Moore. She represents the 4th District of Wisconsin. She's an active member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and the LGBT Equality Caucus. GwenMoore.house.gov is her website. You can tweet her at Rep. Gwen Moore. She's also a 13-year veteran of the Financial Services Committee. Congresswoman, welcome back to the program. It's been quite a while since you've been with us.
It sure has been, Tom. So glad to be back. We have to make sure we don't let this big lapse occur again.
I agree.
Too much to talk about.
Yeah, indeed. And if you'd ever like to come on for a full hour and take calls from our listeners, I'd love to have you host that. I'd love to host that for you.
Done.
Thank you. Tell me about this week. I believe today, or maybe it's tomorrow, is the 10th anniversary of the beginning of the great, I call it the Great Bush Crash, but they call it the financial crisis. It's just like, back in the 30s, they always referred to the Great Depression as the Republican Great Depression, and it wasn't until after World War II that the Republicans succeeded in getting the media to take that word out, and now it's the Great Depression. Anyhow, this is the 10th anniversary, and you've been on the Financial Services Committee for 13 years. What did we do wrong, and what have we learned from that, and have we applied any of what we've learned to law and policy?
Well, what we, quote unquote, did wrong is to try to accommodate our Republican friends, more moderates, and we just didn't go far enough with financial reform and Dodd-Frank. We tried to compromise. For example, I'll give you a really good example. The whole too big to fail notion. The original proposal is that we wanted these banks to ante up front to build a fund so that we would never again have a $700 billion bailout of the banks. And they pushed back on that, and so we didn't have that fund. Another thing that we did wrong, I think, other than the fact that nobody went to jail, that's a whole hour-long show.
Yep.
But I think another thing that we did wrong is we didn't help underwater homeowners. I mean, we have trillions of dollars that ordinary homeowners lost due to this bailout. And while we bailed the banks out, and they are extremely profitable, I mean profitable into the billions of dollars, there are still people who are underwater in their homes, people who didn't necessarily contribute to the crash, who can't even afford to fix their windows or fix their roofs because, middle class people's wealth was held in their houses way back into the 30s, as you indicated before, Tom. I mean, if you're middle class, your wealth is in your house versus stocks and bonds.
Yep.
And so the Tea Party came along, and they basically stopped us from helping ordinary homeowners who were underwater due to this crash. And so they lost wealth in their homes. We see home ownership rates declining. The housing market has not, quote unquote, come back. And we don't know what a strong economy looks like without a strong housing market. So those are a couple of things that I think we didn't do right at the time. Now, what is go on, Tom.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to respond to the second part of your question. Have we learned our lesson? Well, I tell you, what contributed to the crash is that we had too much debt. We didn't have a good regulatory regime, including protecting consumers. We had huge income inequality that parroted what we saw in 1929, 1930 Depression era income inequality. And we saw that there just was not enough capital requirements in our financial institutions. Since we passed Dodd-Frank, what have we done? We're back to huge debts. I mean, just last night, the Ways and Means Committee gave rich people yet another, unrequested, by the way, tax break, increasing our debt even more. There has been a steady drumbeat to reduce the regulatory regime that we put in place through Dodd-Frank, including the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which returned about $12 billion to consumers who had been victimized. Of course, income inequality is as great as it's ever been, Tom. Another thing, the fiduciary standard, the best interest standard, which says that a broker has to operate in the best interest of their client before they help them with the investment advice. The fiduciary rule is like dead.
Yeah.
And so, we're just stuck on stupid, waiting on dumb to come.
Well said. Back in the 30s, when FDR came into office, when he was sworn in March of 1933, that week, the last of the banks in America failed, and so it was just total wreckage of the banking system. And basically, what Hoover and Franklin Roosevelt for the first few months had done was just let the banks fail. But Roosevelt stepped in and he put into place a government program, and I'm sorry I don't have the name of it right off the top of my head. It's been a number of years since I wrote about this. But basically, we were buying mortgages from the banks people's mortgage, because the standard mortgage back then was a 5-year balloon, and because it was basically the speculative bubble in the 1920s, and so we bought these 5-year balloons and we turned them into 30-year fixed rate mortgages and allowed hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of American homeowners to stay in their homes as a result of that. So we bailed out the homeowners in the 30s rather than the banks, and we let the banks fail. And I think history shows that America was better for it. Obviously, we did the exact opposite in 2008, 2009. We bailed out the banks and we let the homeowners fail. And the homeowners are still suffering. Housing prices are not even back up to where they were in 2007. How do we institutionalize this learning, Congresswoman Moore?
Well, we should elect Democrats.
There you go. Okay, you got it.
But I do think that it really requires a strong education program.
Yeah.
I think that financial services is a difficult subject, and people's eyes glaze over when you start talking numbers, and particularly when you get into the trillions of dollars. And I mean, Republicans make it sound real good. All we have to do is just name it the Tax Cut and Middle Class Families Act.
Right.
And somehow people believe that. And so, last night, for example, they eliminated eliminated the top category for taxes, and so that people think that maybe that's going to help me. No, it doesn't help you if you're making $40,000 a year. And I think that it's really, really important for us to break down financial conversations at a kitchen table level, and share this information with people.
To what extent do your colleagues in the Democratic caucus, the other Democrats in the House of Representatives, I know that the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which you're a member of, is all over this, but how widely held is this belief that we've got to reduce the power of the banks and these big corporations, these big financial institutions, and strengthen, essentially the power of government as a protective agency? Is there a debate in the Democratic caucus about this?
Right. Well, here's the thing, Tom. Often arguments become conflated. Mm-hmm. No one disagrees that debt is injurious to our economy. So, but it's how you define spending. So Republicans will say, well, gee, we're in debt, so we can't spend on you. Right. We can't spend on human beings. We can't spend on education. We need to cut Social Security. We need to cut Medicare. And, Republicans don't define giving breaks to corporations as spending. And it is spending. Mm-hmm. It is spending. When you spend through the tax code, you're still spending. They define that as an investment. So it's wordplay. And I think that it's incumbent upon us to educate people that, yes, when we say that $1.5 trillion worth of tax cuts is not an investment, it's stuff that's going to go to a shareholder. Yep. It's stuff that's going to go for, share buybacks. People have got to understand that doesn't translate into a chicken in every pot.
No, it translates into big bonuses for CEOs, and that's about it.
Right. And just outright let Republicans lie to you. Oh, you're going to get a wage increase, which people deserve. 1% of these tax cuts have gone to people in increased wages. And what is much more common, Tom, is to see, lost jobs, and share buybacks.
Yeah. It's really a boondoggle. Congresswoman Gwen Moore, you can tweet her at Rep. Gwen Moore, GwenMoore. Her website, gwenmoore.house.gov. Congresswoman, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Tom.
Great talking.
We're going to do this.
I agree. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. And welcome back. James in Cupertino, California. Hey, James, what's on your mind? You wanted to pick up on our conversation about pot yesterday with, what was her name? Angela Baca. There you go.
Yeah, Tom. This is Joe in Cupertino. I really appreciate you taking my call. I was listening to Gwen, and I'm glad I took notes that I wanted to talk about my podcast. I just love her. She's great.
Yeah, she is.
I've gotten some of the greatest guests. I mean, we had Roe on at the beginning of the week, and then, of course, you had Mark. I just think your service that you provide to the community, and for me especially because he's in my district, but, I mean, it's just outstanding. You know, he was talking about how Amazon's taking all the money and these are not sharing the wealth, and that's kind of the way I look at healthcare, you know, when it comes to healthcare. But I wanted to talk about your yesterday. I had a personal experience with going through chemo, and I chose not to take the Zoloft, but they had the anti-nausea medication, and I instead went to my doctor. We talked about THC, and so I tried the vape pen, and I was doing that for about a year. I quit chemo, and I was still having the nausea, and I was wondering what the text was going on. And I guess, I don't know, I just ran upon this study that found that when you're using the vape pen, for some reason, over a prolonged period of time, you'll develop these symptoms of some bowel disorder, and people are going to the emergency room because they're not understanding what this is doing to them. And I wasn't either. I find myself having to take a shower like 4 times a day. And so I stopped using the vape pen altogether. In fact, I abstained from smoking for about 6-8 months before I went back to just regular rolled, like they used to smoke in the pipe, and it didn't come back. So I think there's a lot to what you were saying about the processing of the THC and the cannabinoids. I mean, I'm just an older guy, and I just remember we used to buy it from our friends for $10, but now it's come to my opinion that we have to be careful that we don't, you know, take something that's holistic and natural and then convert it into a for-profit and then all of a sudden say, oh, it's bad. Because I think we've come a long way. I'm amazed that I can get the
I don't think it's just the profit, Joe. It's the idea of distilling and concentrating and standardizing. Yeah, we've all come to accept that this is a good thing. That, you know, if you're taking a drug, you want to know exactly how much of the drug and how strong it is, and, you know, quack, quack, quack. I went to my vape store, my local vape store, here in Portland, right after, you know, the afternoon after I had, what was her name again? Angela, that's right. After Angela was on. And I said, I want one of those kind of pipes that you know, heats up raw herb and vaporizes it so that I can inhale it without catching it on fire and burning it, you know, so it's easier on my lungs. And but I want to go back to natural herb instead of vape pens and things. And they were like, well, we don't, you know, they had one in the store, and it was a little tiny thing that would have been, you know, more hassle than it was worth to use or to own. And I said, well, can you get me a Volcano, I think is the brand that she was talking about. And they were like, yeah, but we'll have to order it. And, you know, it's like, wow, it's like there should be all kinds of these things, I would think. So,
well, you know, we have a lot of those in my area, those stores that sell all of this stuff. And I really appreciated the fact that she was pointing out about transdermal absorption. That's really a cool idea when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. It's but once again, it's with concentrates and things. But yeah, I get the point. Joe, thanks a lot for the call. I'm curious about all of it. It's a fascinating topic, and there's so much breadth there. You know, there's so much that can be done with pot. It's 22 minutes past the hour. Back with Anything Goes Friday right after this. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Chaz in Lakewood, Washington. Hey, Chaz, what's on your mind? Thanks for watching us on a Roku box on Free Speech TV. What's up?
Nazadrovia, comrade, is another Gloriastan, Trumpistan, is it not?
It is. Indeed it is.
Hey, you do not like when conservatives call liberals and progressives Democrats, right?
Well, I don't like it when they refer to the so-called Democrat Party, because there is no such thing as the Democratic Party. But
I got an idea to turn the tables. What do you think?
All right. What's the idea?
In about 4 months, they're going to be trying to walk away from Trump, and we can't let that happen. They steadfastly stood behind the most corrupt president in American history, thereby world history. From now on, I'm never going to say GOP Republicans. As long as that party exists, we have to call them the party of Trump, but they're going to try to walk away from it.
Yep, the Trumplicons.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I agree that the Republicans are going to start walking away from Trump in a big way and in a fast way, and I think that this is even without the possibility of criminal indictments of Trump and the rest of his crime family, as a result, in particular, of Paul Manafort flipping right now. Even without that, I think people are so horrified by the kidnapping children and putting them in cages, and his language, his supporting Nazis, as President Obama said, this is not rocket science to say Nazis are not good, right? I mean, this doesn't require a great intellect, but apparently it's beyond the capabilities of Donald Trump. So I think that it's catching up with him, and particularly if the Republican Party gets routed in the election, in the congressional election that's coming up in 7 weeks, there's going to be some real serious reevaluations on the Republican side, and they may even throw him under the bus. And we can't let them. Go ahead.
You mean the party of Trump?
That's correct. The party of Trump is going to try to say, no, we're not the party of Trump. We're the party of Ted Cruz, or whatever. We'll see where it goes, but I don't think it's going to be a good thing. Chaz, thanks a lot for the call. James in Spokane, Washington. Hey, James, what's on your mind today?
My friend, Thom Hartmann. Interesting to find out yesterday that you used to be a DJ for country and western music, eh?
Yeah, that's where I started when I was 16.
You know the beauty then that is Merle Haggard and especially George Jones.
Oh yeah, those guys know how to sing.
No doubt about it. And simpatico. You listen to contemporary music at all?
Occasionally. I don't much listen to music these days unless it's some of the old stuff I've got on my phone. Why?
I love music. I'm a strong fan of music. It's very spiritual. There's a band called One Republic and an album called Native.
Sean is clapping her hands. I don't know about this.
It is excellent. It's the best album I've ever heard. A single album. Comparing Beatles, Rolling Stones, Donovan, Led Zeppelin.
What's the band again?
Anybody.
Republic, you said?
One Republic.
One Republic. I will have to check it out. And I'm sure Sean won't let me forget to do so. James, thanks a lot. It's great on Anything Goes Friday. We can talk about pretty much anything. What's the best music? I'm still listening to old Al Stewart tunes. The best of Al Stewart is one of my favorite all-time albums. Oh boy. And Leonard Cohen, his last album is just absolutely haunting. I can't get away from it. It's 28 minutes past the hour.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
In fact, I think Leonard Cohen's last album is one of the great all-time albums, period. We'll be back with more of your calls on Anything Goes Friday. Boy, do I have good news for you. We have a donor who has put up a $15,000 match. which means if you contribute $30 today, it becomes $60 to Free Speech TV. If you contribute $100, $120 today, it becomes $240. If you contribute $360, it becomes $720. Whatever you contribute today, your donation will be matched by this donor up to $15,000. And we have not even hit $10,000 on any of these days so far. We had a $6,000 day yesterday, a $3,000 day the day before. So we have a long way to go to catch up to where we need to be. And let's try to make this a $15,000 day and put $30,000 into the pot for Free Speech TV, which will bring us for the week right up, pretty much right up to where we need to be. So please call now, 877-378-8669, and have your donation matched, have your donation essentially doubled for Free Speech TV. I mean, there was never a better time. Please call now, 877-378-8669. This is a today only offer, as it were, from this donor, and let's jump on it. We have a series of premiums with a $30 gift. You get the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's the Vote 11618 and Vote Free Speech TV. And, in a very real way, your contribution to Free Speech TV is a vote for this show. And this show and the entire network is, in a very real way, a vote for democracy in America, for freedom of the press and freedom of speech, for the First Amendment. So, anyhow, thus the vote theme. And of course, there's an election coming. With a $72 gift, you get a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is an illustrated book, and it is a great read. If you don't have a copy, I strongly encourage you to check this out. $72, We the People. With a $120 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. That's the dark gray T-shirt made in the USA, the 2¼ diameter aluminum button, and the Vote 11618 bumper sticker. With and the $120 a gift can be $10 a month for a year. With a $240 gift, you get the hoodie kit, and that's, as it implies, as the name implies, a hoodie. Gray, made in the USA, zip-up hooded sweatshirt, the Vote Free Speech TV button, and the Vote this November sticker. With a $360 gift, you get the Vote for Our Future pack, and that's the T-shirt, the hoodie, sweatshirt, and the button and the sticker. And with a $480 gift, you get the all of the above package, which is the sticker, the button, the T-shirt, the hoodie, and my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. That's with $480 or $40 a month for a year. And of course, with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland, Oregon. It's been a while, right? Eventually I'll catch up. Come to Portland, and I'll take you to lunch. I'm doing that. We have a group of people coming in this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great afternoon. And in fact, Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech, is going to be here too to join us. So it's, you get to meet people, and one of the directors of fundraising was with us for the last one. So that's with a $1,000 gift. Come to Portland, hang out in our humble studio, and I'm warning you, it is a humble studio. It's a converted office space, and very simple, very down, very down home, very just. We're a budget operation and proud of it. So, we do a lot with very little here on this program, and I know Free Speech TV does a whole lot. I mean, you've got, I think it's 17 employees on a $3 or $4 million a year budget. That's pretty mind-boggling. I mean, that's the size of the staff and budget of a single television program on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. So they're running an entire network on just an absolute shoestring because you call 877-378-8669 and say, yes, I want to contribute. I want to help. I want to be part of the solution. And here's your opportunity. With this matching gift, this $15,000 matching gift, odds are we might, odds are we probably won't even hit $15,000. We won't even use all of it up, which is unfortunate because it'll just go away. So if you can call today, on this Friday afternoon, if you can call, or Friday morning if you're on the West Coast. Call now, 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV is just this absolutely extraordinary, valuable, and important component of our media landscape. We're here on Dish, we're on Direct, we're on Roku, we're on Sling, we're on Apple TV now. Carries Free Speech TV. We're getting out there all over the place, or Free Speech TV is anyway, and my show is a consequence of that. And we need to keep the momentum going. We need to keep this thing moving forward and keep this network on the air. It's not free sending electrons to you via satellite. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you. Defending America from the weapons of mass deception. Thom Hartmann here with you. Mark in Valley, Washington. Hey, Mark, what's on your mind today?
Well, I was hoping you could give me a good reason or strategy to why Schumer would capitulate to McConnell and just fast-track 15 Superior Court justices through.
He did that in exchange for the ability of the Democrats in the Senate who are running for re-election to go home and campaign. And whether that was a good trade-off or not, I honestly don't know. That's a very, very inside baseball thing. But he made, and Chuck Schumer's a very smart politician. He's been around for a long, long time. He made that decision. The concern that a lot of people have is he going to be forced to make that kind of choice again if Mitch McConnell decides to hold the Senate open, in the time leading up to the election on November 8th, or November 6th, I guess is the election this year. And if so, what's he going to have to give up to get that? And at what point have we given up too much? And I frankly, Mark, don't know the answer to that. And I would love to be talking to a senator about it. And we'll do our best that we can, to get that out there. Mike in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, Mike, thanks for listening to Sirius XM. What's up?
Hey, Tom, I just wanted to call in. You had mentioned with one of your callers that in, 4 or so months many Republicans would be walking away from Trump. I wish I had your optimism, and I know there's some things that could happen legally, but for 2 years, I have said to myself, this is going to be the moment. This is going to be the time when the polls go down, and they do. Periodically, they go up and down, but I can just tell you, even from family members of mine, they dig their heels in, and I just don't see any swaying from the Republicans. And even the ones who on occasion will say something that the news, the media will grab and say, hey, even these one or two Republicans have said something that, is against Trump or whatever. They never name him. They never.
No, I get all that, and I don't disagree with you. I would say watch 3 things, Mike. Number 1, watch Fox News and see when Fox News abandons Donald Trump, he's toast. And, he'll be toast in a matter of months once Fox News abandons him. And so then the question is, what will provoke Fox News to abandon him? Watch the economy. If the economy goes in the tank, that could be it. And watch what happens with the Supreme Court. Brett Kavanaugh goes on the Supreme Court in October. If he does, and everybody's saying he will, I don't think it's a done deal, and I think it's still worth fighting. But if he does, and if the Supreme Court immediately starts getting into these issues like, blowing up Roe v. Wade, et cetera, the backlash is going to be huge. It's going to be substantial. And at that point, the Republican Party may be turning against Trump. And then fourth thing I would add is, watch Robert Mueller. If he comes down with an indictment, the Republicans were actively and aggressively defending Richard Nixon right up until the day after the tapes were publicized. What was on the tapes came out. And at that point, they couldn't do it anymore. But they had been calling it a witch hunt. That's literally the phrase that they used. It's like Roger Stone is advising Donald Trump to use the same language Richard Nixon did. Roger Stone has Nixon tattooed on his back. He worked for Richard Nixon. And he's trying the Nixon playbook. And I don't think it's going to work. Or I think it's going to play out the same way it did with Nixon, when it becomes obvious to everybody. And the interest groups, the billionaires have already gotten their tax cut. They may get another smaller one, but they've got what they needed and what they wanted. I'm not sure that they needed it. In fact, I think it's bad for the country. The deregulation agenda is firmly in place, and now you've got Wheeler in the EPA
who's carrying on Scott Pruitt's tradition of destroying the environment, only doing it low profile so it doesn't look like a clown show. Ryan Zinke is selling off our public lands, has already done that. So basically, the Republicans are in a position now where they don't need Donald Trump anymore. They got their Supreme Court nominee, they got their tax cuts. That was the juicy stuff that they were waiting for. And they know that Mike Pence will deliver everything else they want. He's a reliable, toady of the Koch brothers. He's a client of the Koch brothers, essentially. So that's my take on it. Mike, you think I'm wrong?
No, actually, you put it in perspective, and I would add another one. When people who make around the amount of money that I make, which is not tremendous, realize that next year it's probably going to cost us more in taxes. Right. For some of us for some people who did support him within that income level, I think that's going to hurt him. And I can tell you, as a gay man, we have to stop these nominations as long as we can. Yep. I know that hasn't come up. They don't talk about it. No one wants to talk about it. But it's not just Roe v. Wade that can be undone. Oh, Oberfeld. There's lots of things in it. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. They can say, yeah, Roe v. Wade and Oberfeld, it's all law. It's all established law, but it's death by 1,000 cuts. There's 4 places in my state, I think, where you can get an abortion. So this is how they're going to do it. One other thing, too, I did notice about Fox News, and then I'll let you go. I don't know if you know who Candace Owens is. She's kind of this, I hate to use the word idiot, but she's a complete idiot. She's this new right-wing darling that's on.
I don't know who she is. Yeah.
You do or no?
I do not. No, I don't watch Fox News.
Okay, well, don't waste your time watching her. But anywho, she was trying to peddle this conspiracy theory on Fox News on a panel with that the New York Times had published. They were the anonymous source. They basically were lying, and that New York Times, she's tried this a couple times, and the Fox News panel just shut it down. Just totally were like, no, New York Times wouldn't do that. And for the first time, I'm kind of like, wow, they're not just letting this evil mainstream media trope go. Like, they're actually really shutting this person down. I found that comforting for a brief moment.
I think things are moving. Things are moving in that direction. I mean, Shepard Smith is in the middle of the crosshairs over at Fox News because he's been willing to tell the truth about Donald Trump. I don't know how long they can continue. It's becoming obvious to everybody that Bob Woodward is right. That this guy is in over his head. He's incompetent. He's not curious. He's not smart. And he's not capable of doing the job that he has. And we need to do something about that quickly, like the 25th Amendment. Mike, thanks for the call. These are all, in my opinion, very important issues. Kenyatta in Redlands, California. Hey, Kenyatta. Thanks for watching Free Speech. What's up?
Hey, thank you, Tom, because it's rarely do I talk to you twice in the same week over these years.
Yeah, in fact, we try to discourage that. But anyhow, what's on your mind?
I know that. But there was something really important that I wanted to talk to you about that I wasn't able to follow up with yesterday. I don't know if you have the same concern, but I'm triangulating something that really worries me. I'm looking at a president who says that the basic tenets of what holds this so-called society together, the media, law enforcement. He's saying that the news is fake news, that the media is no good. So now you've got a population, a significant portion of it, that doesn't trust the media. They don't trust what they read. They don't trust what they see. He's saying that law enforcement, the FBI specifically, but that they're corrupt and they're no good. Right. And at the same time, we have this whole thing going on with our elections. Now, prior to Trump, we had hanging chads, voting machines that didn't work, blah, blah, blah. But now you throw in the Russian meddling element and all of this stuff. This is basic stuff that holds the society together, right? Particularly this one. And I'm very concerned about anything that may happen. Think of a terrorist attack or some major natural disaster. I think this place is going to come unglued, Tom. I really do. I mean, when you've got a population, a significant portion thereof, that have lost faith in, the most basic foundations of the government and the society, I think it's very worrisome. Do you feel that same way?
I do, and I felt that way more a year ago than I do now, frankly, because what I'm seeing is people waking up. and in terms of the society coming completely unglued, I'm very skeptical about that. Again, I think that so much of this just depends on Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch did this to Australia. In fact, he owns the majority of the media in Australia. He's the largest single media holder in Australia. I don't know if it's a majority or plurality. He did this in the UK, and then he moved to the United States, and he's doing it to us. And say what?
I just want to tell you there's a big difference there, Tom. If you take the UK and Australia together, they don't have as many guns in the hands of the population as you do in the United States.
Well, on a per capita basis, Australia wasn't that far off from us, or at least far off from us maybe 15 years ago. And the Port Arthur massacre back in, I think it was 96 or 97, changed all that, and they changed their rules. And yeah, the UK doesn't. But I think the idea that Tim McVeigh's dream is going to come true, that something is going to provoke basically a nationwide race riot, and the white people are going to be the ones who are rioting, and they're going to go out and kill people of color and Jews, which was what he thought he would provoke by blowing up the Oklahoma building, or the federal building in Oklahoma City, based on that novel, The Turner Diaries, which is so ubiquitous in these hard right neo-Nazi circles, where that's exactly the scenario. And, he thought Bill Clinton was going to clamp down. He thought Bill Clinton almost started things, with Waco. And so this was the 2-year anniversary of Waco to the day. And he was just going to, all this kind of stuff. And it didn't work. It didn't work. You get these ripples in the militia. But I think that the militia, the people that frankly, I knew some of these people back when I was a kid growing up in Michigan, or at least I knew their parents. And they are the fringe of the fringe. And I don't think, beyond, the kind of threats to individuals, I don't think that they represent that much of a threat to our society. I am concerned about the breakdown of trust, the lack of trust in our institutions, Kenyatta. I agree with you on that. Thanks a lot for the call. I just, you see the meeting in Charlottesville, a year ago, and then they tried to redo it again this year, and it's like, nobody showed up. Here in Portland, it was just an enormous effort just to get a few racists, out there, and they were wildly outnumbered by the protesters.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
I am not saying I'm not concerned. I'm tremendously concerned. But I think at the end, good and right is going to prevail. I really do. And welcome back. Let's see here. Rob in Mesa, Arizona, listening on TuneIn Radio. Hey, Rob, what's on your mind today?
Yes, you got a few comments I wanted to put out there. Excuse me while I get to a place where I can talk.
Okay.
First off, I wanted just to say that I disagree with calling Republicans Trump Republicans, because once Trump's gone, it'll be meaningless. We can just call them Russian Republicans.
Yeah, there you go.
So if they agree with Trump now, then they're Russian Republicans. But I just got 3 strategies for the Democratic Party, and one involves the voting, taxes, and medical. I'll go through them real quick here.
Sure.
The first one's on the vote. Our Congress should just quickly pass a law that says that all states who hand out provisional ballots or refuse someone at the ballot box, they have to do a follow-up letter and tell them what happened. Was their provisional ballot counted? And if it wasn't, why? And then that'll give them some heads up on their registration.
And something like 95% of all provisional ballots are not counted. I was going to get into this in the next hour. I've got all these, this extraordinary article from all these progressive activists in New York State who were given provisional ballots, and they're like, "Well, I voted my provisional ballot. Well, it didn't get counted." Excuse me.
That's
back
why
to you.
they had a follow-up to keep that alive, because
Right.
people just thinking, I did that here in Arizona, and they just admitted like 2 years ago that they go, we don't count that. We just want to get those people out of the booth so they didn't create a problem.
Yep.
So it's just more of a strategy. Okay, the second thing is on businesses. Since corporations are people, then the taxes should be the same for all of us. So I should get the same tax rate as businesses and vice versa. And, get rid of this whole, dividend thing. And since corporations are people, you should be able to argue that, like all those people who lost money during the housing crisis. They lost tens of $20,000. Well, why can't they carry that forward against their future income, just like a business?
Yeah,
Since
I think there was a time in our country where you could carry forward losses. It may be, because I did it back in the 70s. It may be, though, that it was through a sub-S corporation. I frankly don't remember. But, yeah, I agree. You should be able to carry forward losses.
And so the argument should just be, since we're all equal as businesses and people, the tax should be the same. We should have the same tax code, the same tax brackets, the same write-offs. Just create it equal. Let's just use a reverse jujitsu on that one. Okay, the last one is just medical. This one's pretty a simple one. They need to do like a federal law that says that nobody can do this out-of-network stuff, because all that's doing is just they're basically upping your deductible.
Yeah.
Because last time I checked into a hospital, it was a minor thing, but I asked the hospital, I'm like, are you guys in network? They said yes, but everyone I touched after that was on network.
So the doctor was out of network, the anesthesiologist was out of network.
Yeah. So everyone else was at, and I looked for that in the form in that, but that's basically all I have on that.
Thus they stuck you with bigger bills on your copay. Is that how it worked? If it's out of network?
Yeah, well, you go in, and then, they're out of network, so now the doctor can charge an extra fee on top of it.
Right.
So it's just a way of kind of almost breach a contract, if you will.
Yeah, we're the only country in the world where the national healthcare system, to the extent that there is one, is there to extract wealth from the middle class and working people. We're the only country in the world that does that, at least developed country. I'm sure that some of the underdeveloped countries of the world, but I mean this is just outrageous.
And if I could, just a quick update on our election here.
Sure.
Kristen Sinema, who's running for the Senate seat vacated by Flake.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing okay so far, TV ads-wise. She's taking the high road. Her opponent's taking the low road, and she looks pretty bad.
Good.
So far, but we got a ways to go. And then David Garcia for the governorship. I don't know. That one's a toss-up to me.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. Rob, thanks a lot for the update. We'll be right back. Boy, do I have good news for you. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to Thom. What's going on in the world? Yeah, I do. This report brought to you by goatsfortheoldgoat.com and Loving What You Do, Alan Ratner's new book. And on the line with us is Luke Vargas for Talk Media News, the chief foreign correspondent. You can follow him on Twitter at The Courier. Luke, welcome back. Hybrid 2. Luke?
Oh, can you hear me?
I do, yeah.
Terrific. Thanks for having me on. Let me walk you through the topics I've got today. I'm not sure if the email.
I just got the list. Canada, Mexico, and North and South Korea. Let's go for it.
Yeah, let's start with Canada. It's an interesting one. So, of course, Canada, our northern neighbor, is going to be legalizing marijuana nationwide on October 17th. And Justin Trudeau, the Canadian leader, has said, look, he doesn't expect the United States to change very many customs or border regulations to, adapt to a changing, legalized situation north of the border. But far from that, we are actually hearing that the United States is sort of digging in its heels and is promising to crack down further on various drug-related immigration crimes at the border. So there's an existing law, basically, that Customs and Border Patrol agents at the U.S.-Canada border can bar someone for life from entering the United States if they are a drug user. Any admission of past drug use is grounds for a lifetime ban from the U.S. as part of the actual.
Whoa, would that include medical marijuana?
It does, and we don't know. So that's sort of a gray area, and it's up for the people at the border to make those determinations.
And this is only with non-U.S. citizens, right?
Exactly. So this Politico has a story interviewing senior Customs and Border Patrol officials saying that the U.S. does not plan to change any border or admissions policies as this legalization goes into effect. But in fact, what they're sort of doing is expanding it because according to U.S. law, anyone who is involved in finance, venture capital financing, other sorts of backing financially for marijuana producers in Canada, which is going to be a very, very lucrative industry there, and you've already seen major venture capitalists get into that field, those people are classified now by U.S. laws as drug traffickers because they are helping to boost the production and distribution. So we've actually had instances this year of major, multi-millionaire, investors in the legal pot industry in Canada getting those lifetime bans from entering the United States. So don't expect necessarily the fact that, marijuana is going to be legal north of the border to, reduce your risk of having a problem at the U.S. border. Far from it. It seems like there are actually a little bit more pitfalls that could befall these people.
Is this coming out of Jeff Sessions? And do you think Congress will clean this up?
It depends how much of an impact it actually has on cross-border movement. I'd say it's probably because so much rests on the discretion of border agents that it wouldn't be that hard to have a directive saying, look, I mean, if you smell pot in a car, tell them they can't come in today, but don't hit everybody with a lifetime ban. And I think there's going to have to be some sort of guidance coming from maybe Treasury because, frankly, the medical marijuana industry in Canada is going to attract so many sort of individual investors, people who are not, pouring tens of millions of dollars in, but just a few $100 or $1,000 of personal investments. You're not going to be able to classify all those people as, drug traffickers and ban them from life for the United States. So I would guess a little clarity comes here, but they're just not ceding any ground in advance.
Yeah, got it. Donald Trump is not only asking you and me to pay for his wall, in fact, talking about shutting the government down to force us to, but now he's also offering to pay Mexico to take deported Central American migrants. How much more of our money does he want to use for this, and how is it being received by Mexico?
Well, it depends which Mexican government you're looking at. The current outgoing one, sort of a lame duck president, or Enrique Peña Nieto, or Manuel Obrador, who's coming in December. So here's the plan. It's $20 million. It's not new money that they'd be asking taxpayers for. It's $20 million appropriated to the Merida initiative. This is sort of a U.S.-Mexico joint security financing fund, and they would put it towards paying the bus and train fare and plane fare for people from the Northern Triangle countries, these Central American countries which are having huge problems with gang violence and drug trafficking. The UN actually recognizes many of these people as asylum seekers,
as refugees.
Right, or people who are eligible to at least apply to be refugees. And under Jeff Sessions, the DOJ has revoked that classification, saying, look, we don't consider these people to be, people who could be up for asylum protections. This is a step further. The U.S. Wanting to use $20 million to give it to the Mexican government to deport 17,000 people from Central America, not who are already in the U.S., but who are in Mexico, just basically say, get these people even further away from the United States. And obviously, rights groups here are justifiably concerned. I mean, we have international law principles of non-refoulement. Essentially, it is illegal. It's an international crime to send people back to areas where there's a high likelihood of their injury or death, depending on various political affiliations and the like. This, according to Amnesty, who I talked to earlier, saying, look, this is the U.S. outsourcing its international obligations and trying to get Mexico to do that work for it. We'll see. The current government says we're going to look at this proposal. The incoming government says not a chance. So even if maybe this deal gets put into place for a few months, I think once the new president's in December, he's likely to have another stance on this. And I don't see this really being viable, but it shows what the U.S. wants to be able to do, which is just to shift these asylum seekers as far away from America's border as possible.
Remarkable. In 5 seconds, Luke, North and South Korea meeting in Pyongyang. Should we be hopeful?
Let's just say yes, and we'll pick it up on Tuesday with more details.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Luke Vargas with Talk Media News. You can follow him on Twitter at The Courier. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Good talking with you. We'll be back with more of Anything Goes Friday right after this. It's 57 minutes and a half past the hour.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Boy, do I have good news for you. We have a donor who has put up a $15,000 match, which means if you contribute $30 today, it becomes $60 to Free Speech TV. If you contribute $100, $120 today, it becomes $240. If you contribute $360, it becomes $720. Whatever you contribute today, your donation will be matched by this donor up to $15,000. And we have not even hit $10,000 on any of these days so far. We had a $6,000 day yesterday, a $3,000 day the day before. So we have a long way to go to catch up to where we need to be. And let's try to make this a $15,000 day and put $30,000 into the pot for Free Speech TV, which will bring us for the week right up, pretty much right up to where we need to be. So please call now, 877-378-8669, and have your donation matched, have your donation essentially doubled for Free Speech TV. There was never a better time. Please call now, 877-378-8669. This is a today only offer, as it were, from this donor, and let's jump on it. We have a series of premiums with a $30 gift. You get the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's the Vote 11618 and Vote Free Speech TV. And, in a very real way, your contribution to Free Speech TV is a vote for this show. And this show and the entire network is, in a very real way, a vote for democracy in America, for freedom of the press and freedom of speech, for the First Amendment. So, anyhow, thus the vote theme, and of course there's an election coming. With a $72 gift, you get a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is an illustrated book, and it is a great read. If you don't have a copy, I strongly encourage you to check this out. $72, We the People. With a $120 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. That's the dark gray T-shirt made in the USA, the 2 1/4 inch diameter aluminum button, and the Vote 11618 bumper sticker. With the $120 a gift can be $10 a month for a year. With a $240 gift, you get the hoodie kit, and that's, as it implies, as the name implies, a hoodie. Gray, made in the USA, zip-up hooded sweatshirt, the Vote Free Speech TV button, and the Vote this November sticker. With a $360 gift, you get the Vote for Our Future pack, and that's the T-shirt, the hoodie sweatshirt, and the button and the sticker. And with a $480 gift, you get the all of the above package, which is the sticker, the button, the T-shirt, the hoodie, and my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. That's with $480 or $40 a month for a year. And of course, with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland, Oregon. It's been a while, right? Eventually I'll catch up. Come to Portland, and I'll take you to lunch. I'm doing that. We have a group of people coming in this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great afternoon. And in fact, Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech, is going to be here too to join us. So it's, you get to meet people, and our one of the directors of fundraising was with us for the last one. So that's with a $1,000 gift. Come to Portland, hang out in our humble studio, and I'm warning you, it is a humble studio. It's a converted office space, and very simple, very down, very down home, very just. We're a budget operation and proud of it. So, we do a lot with very little here on this program, and I know Free Speech TV does a whole lot. I mean, you've got, I think it's 17 employees on a $3 or $4 million a year budget. That's pretty mind-boggling. I mean, that's the size of the staff and budget of a single television program on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. So they're running an entire network on just an absolute shoestring because you call 877-378-8669 and say, yes, I want to contribute. I want to help. I want to be part of the solution. And here's your opportunity. With this matching gift, this $15,000 matching gift, odds are we might, odds are we probably won't even hit $15,000. We won't even use all of it up. which is unfortunate because it'll just go away. So if you can call today on this Friday afternoon, if you can call, or Friday morning if you're on the West Coast, call now, 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV is just this absolutely extraordinary, valuable, and important component of our media landscape. We're here on Dish, we're on Direct, we're on Roku, we're on Sling, we're on Apple TV now. Carries Free Speech TV. We're getting out there all over the place, or Free Speech TV is anyway, and my show is a consequence of that. And we need to keep the momentum going. We need to keep this thing moving forward and keep this network on the air. It's not free sending electrons to you via satellite. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. It's Anything Goes Friday, but there are a couple things that I wanted to share with you, and the first is Google. Google, Mr. Paulson, Jack Paulson is his name. He works for Google. He's a mathematician. In fact, prior to that, he was at Stanford University. He was teaching, an assistant professor in their mathematics department. And he has said, Google has this project, it's called Dragonfly. And what it is a search engine, a Google-like search engine, that is specifically censored in ways that are acceptable to the government of China. So there's no mention of human rights, there's no mention of democracy, there's no mention of Tiananmen Square, there's no mention of dissidents, there's no mention of free speech, there's no mention of human rights, there's no mention of peaceful protest. All this stuff scrubbed out of Google. And Google has had teams working on this in California. And this fellow, along with a number of other people, he wrote a resignation letter saying, "Due to my conviction that dissent is fundamental to functioning democracies, I am forced to resign in order to avoid contributing to or profiting from the erosion of protection of dissidents." He has signed this paper. Well, actually, Google's actual policy. The company will not design or deploy technologies whose purpose contravenes widely accepted principles of international law and human rights. Except in China, if you protest, you go to jail. In fact, you can even be put to death. And Google is just apparently fine with that as long as they can make some money in China. Now, arguably could say the same thing about every other American company that is outsourcing something to China. They are implicitly or explicitly supporting that dictatorship. We used to call it communism, right, and get all freaked out about it. They still call themselves communists. In the 6 weeks since the revelations about Dragonfly, this by Ryan Gallagher over at theintercept.com. In the 6 weeks since the revelations about Dragonfly, Google still has not publicly addressed concerns of the project, despite facing a major backlash, both internally and externally. So we'll see how this shakes out. But how do we deal with this? Is there a good way in the United States to regulate the behavior of companies when they're working to the advantage and to the benefit of regimes that might be hostile to us. You know, I think if you wanted to talk about this in terms of national security rather than values, that, you know, the obvious big stuff is that we can't build a cruise missile now in the United States without chips from China. We have so depleted our technological ability, our manufacturing ability, because these big corporations simply want to increase their profits. Their shareholders want to make more money. Their CEOs and their senior executives want to make more money, and it's going to come at the expense of the workers. Right? Screw the workers, send the jobs to China, and then you know, where do the tax dollars go? China. And where is the economic activity happening? China. I lived in China in the month of November in 1980, what was the year? 86, in November of 86. I lived in Beijing for a year. For a month, excuse me. I was staying at the Beijing International Acupuncture Teaching Hospital. I had 3 roommates, 2 doctors, and a guy from Japan. I never got quite sure exactly what his title was. One was Pablo has become a friend, and we've kept in touch over the years. He was a psychiatrist from Colombia. He's now practicing in New York, I believe, at Bellevue. And at that time in 1986, you could walk around Beijing and never see a car. There were no skyscrapers. There were no neon lights. There was no advertising. There were no signs. The streets, this was November, so it was getting cold. The streets had these piles of coal briquettes in the middle of every street, and people would just go out and get them, and they would heat one room in their house, you know, with their little stove. And the whole city of Beijing had this coal smoke haze over it, which wasn't incredibly oppressive, but it was noticeable. The tallest building in the city at that time, as I could find, was either the Hilton or Sheraton Hotel. I forget which. I think it was the Hilton on the edge of town. It was a 10-story skyscraper, right? It was a 10-story hotel. It looked kind of like a Holiday Inn, and you know, with a steakhouse up on the top floor and a pizza place. And China has gone from that in 1986 during the Reagan administration to now being the second largest economy in the world. They're on the edge of eclipsing us as the largest economy in the world because American businesses decided that they would rather pay lower wages to Chinese workers than pay American workers. And now it's, you know, hey, you know, we gave them a middle class. Now we want to make money off their middle class. Meanwhile, over at Facebook, since kind of a tech theme here, and by the way, let me toss in one other thing. Elizabeth Warren just came out and called for Amazon to be broken up. To say, Amazon, you know, you can be in the manufacturing business if you want. You can make your own cables. You can make your own electronics. You can make your own goodies, whatever it may be. Or you can be in the retail business, but you can't compete with your own retailers. So she's calling for Amazon to be broken up. Facebook, meanwhile, is allowing censorship of it. And here's where it gets really weird. They brought 5 organizations in to tell them what is fake news and what isn't. And one of those 5 organizations is the Weekly Standard, Bill Kristol's organization. Bill Kristol, the right-wing neocon who was, you know, from 98 agitating for us to invade Iraq. Bill Kristol, the guy who told John McCain picking Sarah Palin would be a great idea. Bill Kristol, the guy who for years and years and years has been in favor of privatizing Social Security and ending Medicare. Bill Kristol, the right-wing crank, his newspaper, his magazine, the Weekly Standard, is one of them. And they came out, you know, thinkprogress.org is a great website, Center for American Progress. And they did a fact-checking piece on Kavanaugh, Think Progress did, and Roe v. Wade, pointing out that, you know, this guy has spoken in the past against Roe v. Wade. And well, actually, it was the story that I opened the show with that I was talking about in the first hour, that Brett Kavanaugh said, right, you know, to all of us, this is the story, that sure enough, he wants to apply this test to Roe v. Wade. Has it traditionally been the case in America that we have not tolerated abortion? And he's obviously the opinion that that is the case, that we have not tolerated abortion. Paul in Woodinville's facts notwithstanding, this is what Kavanaugh thinks, or what many of these guys think. And when this was published, the Weekly Standard labeled it false. And this is what Think Progress says about this one. An article is labeled false under Facebook's third-party fact-checking system. Groups that share that article on Facebook, so that could be like me, you know, if I said, hey, read this Think Progress article. Groups that share that article on Facebook receive a notification informing them that the article received a false rating, in quotes, and that, quote, pages and websites, end quote, that share the piece, quote, will see their overall distribution and their ability to monetize and advertise removed. So if you're using Facebook as part of your business and the Weekly Standard doesn't like an article about Brett Kavanaugh that Think Progress has published, and you reprint that thing from Think Progress, you're going to be in trouble. I mean, this is crazy stuff. And by the way, Laura Clausen writing about this over at Daily Kos today. The Weekly Standard has no liberal counterpart. You don't see Think Progress or Democratic Underground or Common Dreams or Alternet or the Independent Media Institute or the Thom Hartmann Program. None of us were invited to check what the Weekly Standard and their buddies on the hard right are up to. The Weekly Standard has no liberal counterpart as a fact checker at Facebook, and no wonder. Facebook's head of global news partnerships is Campbell Brown. Remember Campbell Brown from CNN years ago? Turns out she's a hardcore right-wing Republican. I always figured that was the case from watching her on TV, the way she'd spin stories back during the Bush era. She was so, she so loved George W. Bush and the war in Iraq and all that stuff. It just, and eventually, CNN said, enough. But now she's over at Facebook, and she's the head of their global news partnerships. She's against public education. She's against teachers' unions. She has deep ties to the Republican Party. It's incredible. And finally, and then I'll pick up your phone calls as soon as I finish this rant, but Chuck Grassley. I mentioned at the very top of the show that we now know what the letter is that was given to Dianne Feinstein apparently a couple days ago. It's a woman who, as a high school student from a high school down the street from Brett Kavanaugh's school, says that Brett Kavanaugh and one of his friends held her down, Kavanaugh put his hand over her mouth. Her friend turned up the music at this loud drunken party in an attempt to rape her, and she was able to get away. But it was apparently a sincere attempt, and she's pretty traumatized by it. And oddly enough, 2 hours after this story hits the news, Chuck Grassley comes out with a letter signed by 36 women, 65 women, saying, Brett Kavanaugh didn't assault us. In fact, the letter says, for the entire time we have known Brett Kavanaugh, he has behaved honorably and treated women with respect. Which raises the question, when did Chuck Grassley start contacting women who knew Brett Kavanaugh 30 years ago? I mean, that's not something you can do in 10 minutes. That's not something you can do in a week. How long has Chuck Grassley known that there are credible rape allegations against Brett Kavanaugh so that Chuck Grassley saw it necessary to go out and build a case for his defense? And how's this going to play in an era where we've got, President Grab Them, along with apparently now Supreme Court Justice Grab Them, who's going to join Clarence Thomas, who was the original Supreme Court, Grab Them guy. Where's this going to go? Is this going to even cause, Fox News or the Republican Party to say, maybe we shouldn't do this? Somehow I doubt it. But it may filter down to the American voter. It may filter down to the United States. Let's hope. But what the heck is going on here with Chuck Grassley?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Back with your calls in just a moment. It's Anything Goes Friday on the Thom Hartmann Program. Talk media for the rest of us. And welcome back. Paul in Lucerne, California. Hey, Paul, thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV. What's on your mind?
Hey, Tom, I just wanted to talk a little bit about pot and concentrates. If you're not a heavy pot smoker, you really should stay away from concentrates.
All right.
Like that guy I was talking earlier, the reason why he was having stomach cramps and stuff like that, he was basically suffering a THC overdose. And that's what happens. The only time you can really feel uncomfortable is when you're putting warm water or a warm blanket on your stomach. Because unless you've been a heavy smoker like me for over 30 years, you can't take heavy doses of concentrate. It will overdose you.
Yeah.
And you were talking about using a vape pen. You really don't want to use those. Get yourself a dab bong and buy some dab. And make sure when you buy your dab, it's from Nug Runs.
But dab is just as concentrated as the liquid.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay,
No, it's
enlighten
not.
me then.
I actually work for a guy that has a manufacturing license, and he makes the stuff for dab pens, and he makes wax. Wax is just, I could take 60 ounces of keef, run it through my machine, okay, pull out all my stuff, and get about 25 grams back.
Right.
Okay? Now, in order for me to put that into a pen, that 25 grams is going to be concentrated to about 7 grams. I'm going to pull a lot more stuff out of it. The only thing I want is the THC.
But
That's
you're
all I
creating,
want.
we're back to creating the concentrate. I mean, why not just smoke
That's
raw
what it
herb?
is. That's what it is.
Or
Yeah.
vaporize
But
raw herb with like a tornado or what are they called? Volcano, I guess they call it.
Yeah, that's the best way to smoke weed if you have lung problems or you're older.
Yeah.
But smoking weed actually, if you live in a city, smoking weed is actually good for you because it will protect your lungs against smog, and there's lots of proof for that.
No, I've seen the studies that, literally
Yeah.
lifetime pot smokers have lower rates of lung disease than people who've never smoked anything.
Yeah.
So apparently there's some sort of protective or therapeutic benefit there. But
it's not bad for you.
Yeah.
But the reason why, if you want to do concentrates, make sure it was run with a nug because you're going to get the CBDs, the sugars, you're going to get everything with it, and it's all going to be concentrated. And you want to get yourself a little dab bong and a little torch. You heat your bong up.
Yeah,
you wait 35
that's just
seconds.
way too high tech for me, Paul. I'm sorry.
Yeah, then just get yourself a pot pipe.
I'm old-fashioned.
Buy some pot. You know, that's what you want to do.
All right. Paul, thanks a lot for the call. Yeah, good to hear from you. Dave in Federal Way. Oh, hey, Dave, you're listening on Sirius. Let's see here. William in Stuart, Florida. William, we have just a minute. You got a quick one?
Two quick ones. One is, how about Rusicans instead of
Republicans?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Rusicans.
I don't think that's going to last real long, but anyhow, what's the second one?
Might not, but it's, yeah. And the other is the GOF, the Grand Old Fascists. Just as quick shots.
Yeah.
Then I was going to say one other thing. We have to worry about the fragility of our democracy. I believe you made a point the other day that the middle class was actually formed due to the Flint strike. With
to a large extent,
GM.
yeah. The Flint sit-down strike spread nationwide really fast.
Right, with Buick.
Yep.
Well, just think about the idea that middle class that was created really only lasted 45 years, because once Ronald Reagan came in and just started trying to destroy the unions, and now basically has, outside of public employee unions,
he's done it.
45-year period.
He's done it. William, I got to run, but spot on. It all began with Reagan. It's what it's going to say on my headstone. We'll be back. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com. Welcome back. It's Anything Goes Friday, 22 minutes past the hour. And John in Asheville, North Carolina, listening on AM 880, The Revolution. Do I have that right, John?
That's right. Thank you, Tom.
What's up?
Listen to you a lot.
Thank you.
Here's my concern. The FDIC has lost its power to lend for under emergency circumstances. This was just in the paper yesterday. There was an article with Timothy Geithner. And my concern is that overall, if 2008 were to happen again and the FDIC could not step in with $862 billion QE package for every year or 6 months. That would kind of, the economy wouldn't have picked up again. When Trump was campaigning, he said, when we hit $24 trillion, folks, that's the magic number. That's when the game is over. That's what he said. I don't know if you recall him saying that while he was
I don't, but I believe you.
Okay.
So where are we at right now, and what's FDIC's role in this? I thought it was the Fed that was buying, quote, troubled assets, you know, the bad mortgages that the banks had sold and still had on their balance sheets.
Geithner said that we are in a situation where unless we are on the brink of collapse, Congress will have to act to approve financial resources, emergency funds, but they can't be done before then. And so what that means is that, look, imagine 2008 without QE, okay? Just imagine
Well,
that.
QE didn't kick in for almost 2 years, or a year and a half anyway. I mean, you know, the main thing was TARP. There was this massive, you had 20 some odd $20 trillion that the Fed was bailing out everybody from billionaires in Oman to Deutsche Bank that we didn't learn about for, 3-4 years until Bernie and Rand Paul got their audit of the Fed, and we found out that this had happened. And then you had, the Treasury Department. But TARP was, that was authorized by Congress. That was our tax dollars, I believe, buying bad mortgages from the banks so that the banks didn't go down with the mortgages, right? And retiring them.
Look, my concern is that the GOP PP tape, that their concern is that they're looking to shake out loose hands again, and just sort of potentially, if that were to happen again, and the economy did not have the availability to recover. They said, well, we just don't have the money because we had $24 trillion in debt, like I said when I was campaigning. But that would essentially, and we have to pay it back, and we're going to do that through maybe cuts through their favorite targets, which is Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security.
Right.
It just looks like very ominous to me a little bit. I don't mean to be.
I'm completely with you, John. The whole thing looks very ominous to me, and we have an economy that is being kept alive by debt, and by government basically creating this money and banks creating money. I mean, it's.
And it seems to me that, the tax cut may have boosted the economy, but he's also thrown a lot of chairs at the feet of the economy with tariffs and that sort of thing. Yeah. So it looks like, it's like a house of cards, and I'm a little concerned about the next recovery. I see it as a potential to enslave the American people. I see it as a potential to make Russia great again. Everything he says, like if you news is fake, it's a witch. He's projecting. He's talking about himself.
Yep.
Everything he says is about himself,
and has been all along, right down to American carnage. I agree, and I share your concern about where this is going and what we're going to do with it. I don't have an easy solution. I think that we should have. Number one, we should have been bailing out homeowners rather than banks. We should have let the banks fail. We never should have gone along with Reagan in '83 when he stopped enforcing the Sherman Act. Now you've got, in literally every industry, not just banking, in every industry, you've got organizations that are too big to fail, and it's very, very dangerous. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Well, it's Anything Goes Friday. We'll be back with more of the news of the day and your calls right after this. Occupying the media 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Thom Hartmann. Boy, do I have good news for you. We have a donor who has put up a $15,000 match, which means if you contribute $30 today, it becomes $60 to Free Speech TV. If you contribute $100, $120 today, it becomes $240. If you contribute $360, it becomes $720. Whatever you contribute today, your donation will be matched by this donor up to $15,000. And we have not even hit $10,000 on any of these days so far. We had a $6,000 day yesterday, a $3,000 day the day before. So we have a long way to go to catch up to where we need to be. And
let's try to make this a $15,000 day and put $30,000 into the pot for Free Speech TV, which will bring us for the week right up, pretty much right up to where we need to be. So please call now, 877-378-8669, and have your donation matched, have your donation essentially doubled for Free Speech TV. I mean, there was never a better time. Please call now, 877-378-8669. This is a today only offer, as it were, from this donor, and let's jump on it. We have a series of premiums with a $30 gift. You get the Free Speech TV mini kit. That's the Vote 11618 and Vote Free Speech TV. And, in a very real way, your contribution to Free Speech TV is a vote for this show. And this show and the entire network is, in a very real way, a vote for democracy in America, for freedom of the press and freedom of speech, for the First Amendment. So, anyhow, thus the vote theme. And, of course, there's an election coming. With a $72 gift, you get a copy of my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. This is an illustrated book, and it is a great read. If you don't have a copy, I strongly encourage you to check this out. $72, We the People. With a $120 gift, you get the Vote Free Speech TV T-shirt kit. That's the dark gray T-shirt made in the USA, the 2 1/4-inch diameter aluminum button, and the Vote 11618 bumper sticker. With and the $120 a gift can be $10 a month for a year. With a $240 gift, you get the hoodie kit, and that's, as it implies, as the name implies, a hoodie. Gray, made in the USA, zip-up hooded sweatshirt, the Vote Free Speech TV button, and the Vote this November sticker. With a $360 gift, you get the Vote for Our Future pack, and that's the T-shirt, the hoodie sweatshirt, and the button and the sticker. And with a $480 gift, you get all of the above package, which is the sticker, the button, the T-shirt, the hoodie, and my book, We the People, A Call to Take Back America. That's with $480 or $40 a month for a year. And, of course, with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland, Oregon. It's been a while, right? Eventually I'll catch up. Come to Portland, and I'll take you to lunch. I'm doing that. We have a group of people coming in this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great afternoon. And, in fact, Ron Williams, the CEO of Free Speech, is going to be here, too, to join us. So you get to meet people, and one of the directors of fundraising was with us for the last one. So that's with a $1,000 gift. Come to Portland, hang out in our humble studio, and I'm warning you, it is a humble studio. It's a converted office space, and very simple, very down, very down home, very just, we're a budget operation and proud of it. So, we do a lot with very little here on this program, and I know Free Speech TV does a whole lot. I mean, you've got, I think it's 17 employees on a $3 or $4 million a year budget. That's pretty mind-boggling. I mean, that's the size of the staff and budget of a single television program on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. So they're running an entire network on just an absolute shoestring because you call 877-378-8669 and say, yes, I want to contribute. I want to help. I want to be part of the solution. And here's your opportunity. With this matching gift, this $15,000 matching gift, odds are we might, odds are we probably won't even hit $15,000. We won't even use all of it up, which is unfortunate because it'll just go away. So if you can call today, on this Friday afternoon, if you can call, or Friday morning if you're on the West Coast, call now, 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV is just this absolutely extraordinary, valuable, and important component of our media landscape. We're here on Dish, we're on Direct, we're on Roku, we're on Sling, we're on Apple TV now, carries Free Speech TV. we're getting out there all over the place, or Free Speech TV is anyway, and my show is a consequence of that. And we need to keep the momentum going. We need to keep this thing moving forward and keep this network on the air. It's not free sending electrons to you via satellite. So call now, 877-378-8669. Thank you.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime luxury Alaskan cruise on the Regent 7 Sea Mariner, July 24th, 2019. For more information, Keen Luxury Travel, 800-856-1155. And did I mention, we'll be getting active on board with special events with yours truly me as we visit Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, Sitka, Hubbard Glacier, and Anchorage. Welcome back. Some other news of the day that I wanted to touch on. Students at Harding University are holding a candlelight vigil for Botham Jean, the young African-American who was murdered by Dallas police officer Amber Geiger. Well, killed. She's been charged with manslaughter. She walked into what she thought was her apartment, she a white woman, and here was a black man, and she pulled out her gun and killed him. So what are the Dallas police doing about this? Well, according to Botham Jean's lawyer, quote, they went in to his apartment. They got a search warrant to search his apartment. And they found 0.3 of an ounce, or almost 0.4, 0.37 ounces of marijuana in his apartment. Oh my God. And so this is what the lawyer says. This is Lee Merritt, the attorney for Jean's family. They went in with the intent to look for some sort of criminal justification for shooting the victim. It's a pattern we've seen before. We have a cop who clearly did something wrong, and instead of investigating the homicide, instead of going into her apartment and seeing what they can find, instead of collecting evidence relevant for the homicide investigation, they went out specifically looking for ways to tarnish the image of this young man. This is, it's the Michael Brown story all over again. Meanwhile, Chad McDonald posted this over on Facebook, I believe it was. Trump left 3,000 Americans with brown skin to die, and now he's denying they ever existed. And he did in a tweet day before yesterday. No, there was not 3,000 Puerto Ricans who died. That, says Chad McDonald, is ethnic cleansing. And I have to absolutely agree with that. And finally, I just wanted to put this on your radar. We can talk more about it on Monday, I suppose. In New York State, apparently in 2016, there was a giant purge of voters in 2016, and apparently people have not been unpurged. All kinds of people showed up to vote in the Democratic primary yesterday, or day before yesterday, and they were not on the list. Rebecca Triaster says, this was 8:30, the poll watcher who helped me. We said the second person she spoke to, another woman who said she was active, regular voter, not in the books. She was not in the books. Linda Polligreen, editor-in-chief of Huffington Post, former director at the New York Times, happened to me too. Her information was scrubbed from the Democratic Party's rolls. Jess McIntosh, she lives in New York. She does the Signal Boost show on Sirius XM from noon to 1 Eastern time. She went to vote Thursday morning. I guess it was yesterday, Thursday morning. And she writes, I had to assert my rights for the first time at a polling place today. Reminder, if you're in the right place and not on the rolls, sign an affidavit and cast a provisional ballot. Yeah, do that by all means, but don't expect it to be counted. Provisional ballots, the vast majority of provisional ballots are never counted. They're placebo ballots. This was written into the Help America Vote Act in 2002, or maybe it was 2005, whichever year it was. In any case, the Help America Vote Act was basically a vehicle to transfer $5 or $6 billion from federal tax dollars into the hands of the for-profit voting machine companies, ES&S, Diebold, and others, to set up this nationwide system of electronic voting machines that have served us so very well with Redshift and everything else, right? So anyway, that's and when Help America Vote Act was passed, they created this thing called called provisional ballots, so that nobody would ever think that they'd been turned away. And most people who are given a provisional ballot don't realize that it will never be counted. Kristen Richardson says 3 of us were in line, not on the voting rolls, in my polling place in Clinton Hill. This is the first affidavit ballot I've ever had to cast. Virgil Texas, a podcast author, a host and author, says he was purged. Virgil. Naomi Const, I retweeted her thing. She said, went into vote skipping, just found out went into vote skipping, but just found out my name was not listed on the roll at my polling place. Despite having the recently sent documentation from the Board of Elections with me, I had to fill out a provisional. Kia Cruz, a fiction author, is the exact same thing. I wasn't able to vote today because my party had been mysteriously changed without my permission. I filled out an affidavit and hope my vote eventually counts, but this is just a reminder that our voting systems are messed up. This is in New York State. And apparently, this freelance writer, Suzanne Zappello, seems like the 2016 purge of Democrat voters in New York during the primary was never fixed. And it's weird that all the people I know having to file an affidavit ballot were Bernie voters in 2016 and Cynthia voters today. And it goes on like that. So I don't know that it's specifically targeted Bernie or Cynthia or anything like that, but there, something is rotten in Denmark here. And hopefully the New York State is going to start working and getting to the bottom of all this. Kurt in Madison, Wisconsin. Hey, Kurt, what's up?
Hi, Tom. I want to bounce off of one of the previous callers. And I would pose that what Schumer did was a huge mistake. And I'm going to reference back to Harry Reid, where he trusted McChinless. And look what that resulted in. It was just more damage to the party. This is one reason I left the party. I'm a progressive. I enjoy your show. But I think it's time, and this is why I think the millennials who are progressive would like to be Democrat. The Democrats are unable to demonstrate that they have a spine, and they've done it once again. If they would have stood their ground with McConnell and said, fine, we're sitting good. You guys are in control of the House. You're the only ones to take blame for what goes down.
But if they can't get back to their districts to campaign, Kurt, they're going to lose their elections. It's that simple. And that's the Hobson's choice that McConnell presented them with. Either go back to your district and, forfeit your responsibilities here in the Senate and hand your opponents ready-made advertisements. He can't even show up to vote. Or, approve these judges and I'll give you the time off.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to have to disagree.
Which choice would you make?
Well, you know what? The Democrats have to start demonstrating they're not going to be threatened. And this has been going on forever, Tom. Look what I'm going to go.
If you can come up with a threat,
Harry
Kurt,
Reid.
No, Harry Reid's long gone. Kurt, if you can come up with a threat that the Democrats could have used against Mitch McConnell to prevent this from happening, I would love to hear it. If you've got a solution to this problem you're identifying, please tell me. I don't have a solution to it.
I'm just stating what I'm observing.
Okay, so you're just saying, no, we need to stand up and have a spine, but without, yeah, okay, Kurt, I get it. I don't have a solution, and apparently you don't either, and that's what we need. We need, and I think, it may well be that Mitch McTurtle has got Schumer, over the barrel here. Daniel in Sacramento. Hey, Daniel, what's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to bring something to your attention. Maybe keep an eye on Sacramento over the next few months. We just started we are the first city in the U.S. to start 5G as of yesterday morning.
5G is the new cell phone technology that uses higher frequencies, which have shorter distances.
And shorter wavelengths.
Right, so you have to have a whole lot more towers.
Flash.
Right.
Yeah. So towers Verizon's saying that they've been able to get the towers every 2,000 feet in Sacramento. Not everywhere in Sacramento is covered. They're saying that it's going to be completely covered by January 1st, 2019.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of really enticing stuff in there for customers, but just something to keep an eye on because we're going to be the test subjects now for the entire country about what 5G can do to our health.
Right. So. Well, and unfortunately, we probably won't know for a decade or two. This is a concern of a lot of people.
People who live in Sacramento will be the first people to really show signs.
Okay. All right. Keep just stay tuned to this signal here, this bat signal. Mark in San Francisco, listening on AM 910. Hey, Mark, what's up?
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Good. Well, anyway, I wanted to bring up the fact I think the Democrats really need to message to the older senior people in this country that the Republicans want to destroy Social Security and Medicare.
Oh, aggressively,
and voting Republican.
Yeah, and Donald Trump is out there lying through his teeth about it. You saw in his speech in Montana 3 days ago, I think it was. He said the Democrats are coming for your Social Security and Medicare. They're going to ruin it. Lying through his teeth. I mean, it's just Yeah. I'm with you, and it's something that needs to get more publicity. How the Republicans have been working so long to do this. Jim in Los Angeles. Hey, Jim. Thanks for listening to KPFK. You have a solution for stopping the Republicans?
Yeah, for stopping them from cheating at the polls, but I need the help of your 7 million listeners. And I also, FYI, I have been studying at Thom Hartmann University for 7,500 hours now.
Okay. So what do you have, Jim?
One, count your vote. You know, if we go to every polling, I mentioned this to Greg Palast when you had him on. Have 2 people with affidavits at every voting place. Put it out there that if the vote counters cheat, you can go to jail. 2 people in Pennsylvania went to jail for 14 years for elections counting the votes wrong, deliberately. But have 2 people and maybe an attorney, but have affidavits. I voted.
This is what, by the way, if I may interrupt, Jim, this is what the Democrats used to do. I mean, there used to be these people who were watching the elections and whatnot. And back in the 2000, I believe it was the 2004 election. I could be wrong. It was the one where the UN wanted to come in and observe our elections. States, Republican-controlled states, red states, started passing laws against election observers. And so now, unless you're voting or unless you've been hired by the county, you can't get into a lot of these places. So I'm, spot on, Jim. I'm with you, but we've got some big challenges.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
It's 15 minutes before the hour, 45 past. We'll be back with more of your calls on Anything Goes Friday in just a moment. And welcome back. Judy watching Free Speech TV in Denver. Hey, Judy, what's up?
Hey, Tom, thanks. The National Defense Authorization Act, under cybersecurity section, has given some of the corporate news agencies, Facebook, Google, etc., the right and the ability to decide what is propaganda and what is not. They gave $60 million for it, and I looked it up, read it under the National Defense Authorization Act section under cybersecurity. So they are doing what Obama, and this happened when Obama signed the NDAA in 2016. It was a part of it.
Hang on just a second. Let me get this straight, Judy. I might have gotten distracted. You're saying that the NDAA, basically the appropriations bill for the Pentagon that has to be renewed every 2 years by the Constitution, the most recent iteration of this has a provision that gives responsibility for defining what's fake news and what's real news to who? Whom?
Facebook, Google, CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN.
Explicitly?
MSNBC,
by name?
Fox.
Are they named in the legislation?
Exactly who in the NDAA, but it is to the corporate media and the Internet.
Judy, I've never heard of that, and it seems unenforceable.
I looked it up.
Okay.
So it's in the NDAA under cybersecurity section.
Okay. I'll have to.
And also, we're putting people in prison now for peacefully protesting. How's that different from China?
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. Judy, thanks for the heads up on that. I don't know if that's the case or not. I need to look it up. Mario in San Diego. Hey, Mario, what's up?
Hi, Tom. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Great. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine from Europe, called me and told me about a little company in Nebraska called Genie Oil. And what he told me about the chairman board members, who is Dick Cheney, Rupert Murdoch, the Rothschild family, and the Rothschild family stopped the Koch brothers from being a chairman of the small company. And I believe he was telling me that it's about oil in Syria, about a small place called Golem Hill. And I'm wondering if you know anything about this. And if you can enlighten us, because
well, the southern end of Syria is the Golan Heights, that overlooks Israel, and I don't know that oil has been discovered there. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. That region is fairly oil rich, although Israel doesn't have any. But all the rest of that, Mario, kind of seems to me like generic conspiracy theory. I mean, as soon as you bring the Rothschilds in, all you're missing is George Soros.
Oh, I see.
So-
It sounded too kind of the same thing to me when he told me about the people on the board members and the small company in Nebraska.
Yeah, this
But
is how Alex Jones makes his millions. We don't need to go down that road. It's
okay.
That and selling men's vitamins. I mean, it's like that's.
Well, thank you so much, because I believe more you than anybody else. Okay?
Thank you, Mario. Thank you. Yeah, always, if something seems too weird to be true, typically it is, just like, too good to be true. And that's definitely too weird to be true. We'll be right back. It's 10 minutes before the hour. Free Speech TV is supported by your contributions, and I strongly encourage you during the pledge drives, or even not during the pledge drives, to call Free Speech TV at 877-378-8669 and make a contribution, support Free Speech TV. But that said, our program, the Thom Hartmann Program, what you're watching right now, is sustained by commercial advertising, and we're on commercial stations around the country. We run ads. They pay us for that. And one of the ways that you can support our program is by going to thomhartmann.com, our website, and clicking on the advertisements on that page for our sponsors and buying their products, supporting their products, or letting them know that you care about their products and that you support our show. That's thomhartmann.com, and click on the advertising there to support our program. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate your supporting Free Speech TV by your ongoing, calling and supporting the fundraising drives, and we also would really appreciate if you go to thomhartmann.com.
Want to connect with the show online? You can find the Thom Hartmann Program on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Welcome back. Anything Goes Friday here on the Thom Hartmann Program. And Armando, or is it Armando, in Houston, Texas? Armando, what's up?
Yes, I was just noticing that people were saying that about the Trump economy, how it was so improved and everything. But I've also noticed that even on MSNBC, I haven't heard anything about the other factors, like how since the Great Recession, 8 out of every 10 jobs were low income, dead-end temporary jobs, or how the real unemployment rate, the 15-16%.
And we still, since the Reagan administration, we haven't been counting people who have dropped out of the job market. And it doesn't mean that they want to be unemployed. It just means that there's no jobs. I mean, we don't count people in rural West Virginia, for example.
Yeah, but are these factors, have they changed any? Because, I mean, it's almost like we're surrendering to the Trump administration by saying that, everything's great. When, I mean, I've met people that say, I still haven't found a job and the economy is not really great for me. But, I mean,
no, that's
why
the norm.
Are we doing this?
There is a great op-ed in today's New York Times calling for a new set of metrics. And Bernie Sanders used to make this argument on this show all the time. The Department of Labor actually comes up with an unemployment rate. I think it's called unemployment E. And it actually includes so-called discouraged workers. So whether it's in the inner city or whether it's in rural West Virginia or Wyoming, people who can't find a job because there literally are no jobs. Right now, we don't count them as part of the unemployment rate. So structural unemployment that is absolutely vanished. It's vanished from our numbers. And so we kind of pretend it doesn't exist.
And what about the people that are being hired? Are they good jobs, or are they just suck as
No, you're absolutely right. The vast majority of jobs being created are temporary jobs, number one, that have no benefits and no job security and that pay at or near minimum wage. And number two, the functional equivalent of temporary jobs in real companies. So,
why aren't Democrats using this as a talking point? Because
well, they have been. I mean, this is something Mark Pocan has talked about this on this show. Ro Khanna has talked about this on this show. Bernie Sanders has talked about it for decades. It's just you will not. Oh, they talk about it all the time. You just will not hear it being talked about on the corporate media because the corporate media does not want to be the little boy who says the emperor has no clothes. That's the bottom line, in my opinion. Fred in Los Angeles. Hey, Fred, what's up?
Hi. Well, I want to talk a little bit about vocabulary.
Okay.
That seems to be one of the topics of the day. First of all, it's not Republicans, it's Republicans.
Yeah, or Republicans.
Can't have that,
yeah.
Can't have this, can't have anything else. Second of all, to substitute for the F word, I think we should use the word frack, like they did on Battlestar Galactica, because fracking is certainly dirtier.
Yeah, okay. All right. That's...
The third one would be when they say the Democrats tax and spend, the Democrats should come back and say, yeah, tax the rich and spend on the middle class, and the Republicans are addicted to Coke.
Yeah, exactly. They're all cokeheads. Well done, Fred. And I would add borrow and spend because, you know, you can call the Democrats tax and spend. The Republicans are borrow and spend. Catherine in Walnut, Kansas. Hey, Catherine, thanks for watching us on Free Speech TV. What's on your mind?
First-time caller. Love your show.
Thank you.
Just watch it as often as I can. The political commercials that are going on down here in southeast Kansas, there's Claire McCaskill, and they're so positive. And, you know, there's no mudslinging or anything, and it's just so refreshing to watch those compared to the Koch brother, I'm sure, backed ones that just, and they are, I'm sure, going for the Republican politician, but it's just hateful, mean, just horrible. Yeah. And, you know, I noticed that the other day that when I was watching one of hers, I thought to myself, my God, you know, this, how you can go, okay, I'm going to go for the hateful mean, then to, you know, do that. But anyways, on the free speech fund drive thing, I really wish they would have billboards advertising free speech because I found it just changing channels on the TV. That's how I found it, and I'm addicted to it.
Yeah. Yeah, billboards would be great. Bumper stickers would be great. There's lots of ways to spread the word, and all of them need to be done. Catherine, thank you for the call. Okay. I have to move along, but I want to try and get a couple more calls in here before the end of the hour, and I have 1 minute left. Liz in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Hey, Liz, thanks for watching Free Speech TV.
Oh, Tom, I just adore your show.
Thank you.
It's a light in the world, and I also want to thank the state of New Mexico for the medical marijuana program. It's really helping me with a seizure condition that I developed late in life.
Oh, good.
And
I'm glad it's helping.
And
but we have about 30 seconds, Liz. Is that what you called about?
One thing I would like to see change is, if possible, since it is medical, why don't I get help? Why don't other people get help the way we do with pharmaceuticals that help us with our conditions?
That's a great point. That's a great point. I would love to see, Medicare Part D start paying for dispensary costs. I mean, it just makes sense. You've got a lot of people who are using medical marijuana to deal with chronic pain, to deal with Crohn's disease, to deal with, autoimmune disorders, to deal with, it's just a whole spectrum of things. And to deal with anxiety around all of the above as well, to deal with insomnia around all of the above. Liz, thank you for the call. Excellent, excellent, excellent point. Thanks so much for being with us this week. It seems like the week just flew by. There's so much going on. And we need to be paying attention to these things, even the small things like, Brett Kavanaugh did what? It's so easy for it to all get lost in the sea of bile coming out of Washington, D.C. and the Trump administration, but we do have to stay focused. So thanks so much for participating with us in this program, and don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. It does require you, me, all of us. We have to get out there, get active, tag. You're it. See you Monday.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.